to another episode of the Firmware Update, episode 136, your source for all things PlayStation, both news, reviews, and everything in between. I'm one of your hosts, Malcolm Spinetti, and joining me, as always, on podcast day, Joe Garcia.
Oh, man, I am wiped.
Just got done recording Slam U, where we took care of The Undertaker of all days. My gosh. That was a big one. Who knew that a man with a 30-year career would take such a while to record all the history of it?
Oof, boy.
Oh, man. So how you been, buddy?
Well, I've been all right, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I've actually gotten to play some video games for once.
Yay! What'd you play?
That are not WWE SuperCard. Most notably, I played through The Order 1886. I grabbed a copy from the Redbox immediately after recording last week's show.
Oh, what'd you do for the rest of the day?
Not much. No. Like I grabbed it right after we were done recording.
Oh, okay.
I only played about an hour that first day on Thursday because I ended up watching SmackDown because I'm one of the few demented people who watches SmackDown when it airs live.
It's true.
And then I spent the whole day Friday, basically, the day after, playing through that. And, yeah, I beat it basically, I guess, probably like 7.5 or 8 hours total.
Yeah, sounds about right. Do you agree with the review I gave it?
I think you were kinder than I would have been. I mean, the game... even though it was a short game, I think it still somehow overstayed its welcome somehow, just because the pacing was so off.
Oh wow! Something I didn't talk for. I was shocked I missed it. How did you feel about grabbing objects and just looking at them for no reason whatsoever?
Yeah, that was. I guess that's one way to handle collectibles, because you don't actually collect anything. You just kind of grab random things and look at them, and that's the majority of your collectibles for like trophy purposes. But otherwise, they serve no purpose whatsoever.
No.
Except for a few audio recordings that you find. But yeah, like it was always confusing because sometimes you would have to grab an object and look at it a certain way to then interact with it some more, pressing square. Mm-hmm. But most of the time, nothing would happen. So I would spend way more time than I wanted to just kind of looking at things in all kinds of crazy angles until I realized that nothing was supposed to happen.
So do you regret renting it?
I mean, no, I'm glad I rented it because I only spent $6 on it. So I'm glad I rented it instead. But I think you were very generous to say that everybody needs to experience it. I don't agree with that at all because, I mean, besides being very pretty to look at, I think the game is completely unspectacular in any way. I found it crushingly mediocre to play. The tired cover mechanics that you've played 800 times by this point.
Maybe gameplay-wise, but, like I said, the graphics, I thought, just need to be experienced.
Sure, but, I mean, you could watch a trailer for that. Yeah, and not spend any money at all.
Same, Joe.
It's, the aspect ratio is an interesting idea that they made.
And you spent $6 on this?
Yeah.
Because you had it for multiple days, or?
Yeah, $3 a day.
Oh, my God, all right.
The aspect ratio is... very interesting in that, they made it super widescreen, I guess, with the bars on the top and bottom. Probably a trick just so that, they would have to process less of the screen and up the graphics, I guess. But I found it kind of distracting when you're actually in a firefight because you're used to more real estate up top or below. So if you're like in a multi-level fight or whatever, where someone's on the balcony and you're on the ground floor, it's like, oh God, this aspect ratio is actually kind of ruining it. Because like the top part of the screen is cut off. It's like, I can't see as much as I should, which is annoying. But yeah, and like the story too, like is completely forgettable too. Like you could ask me anything about the story, I wouldn't be able to answer it.
Well, maybe you should ask me about the story.
But I mean, I just thought it was very forgettable. Overall. And, the idea that, like, you had all these creatures, like people being turned into creatures, but you fight only 10 of them the entire time. Like, there's a trophy that you get for beating 10, but you get that after fighting the last one. It's like, okay, I guess that's only them. And, the best weapons, you rarely get to use them, and even when you do, they carry so little ammo, so you have to be super careful about when you use them. So it's like,
Yeah, you do suffer from, I better conserve here.
Yeah. So, I mean, overall, I just thought it was very, very, very mediocre.
Now, would you give it a skip it then?
If you can get it at a Redbox and spend no more than $6 on it, I would recommend maybe that. But otherwise, I think it's very safe to skip.
Oh, well, thankfully, Joe, this isn't an internet conversation. You can be entitled to your opinion. I still say it's a rental that you should at least.
Yeah, like if you've got GameFly or like a Redbox nearby, like I did. So I mean, yeah, go for it, but don't spend any real money on it.
No.
Like I wouldn't even recommend it at $20 if it was on a sale.
Oh wow.
But I played other better games too. I played Metroid. I played the original Metroid.
Yeah, I heard that you got that the other day. How you liking it?
Well, it's definitely an older game, and that's like, man, I really wish this game had a map because it's very easy to get lost in the original Metroid. And there's a lot of weird glitches that are very prevalent in an NES game, but otherwise, I think the concept of the game still holds up. Going around Brinstar and whatever, collecting upgrades and stuff. That's always a lot of fun. It's still very playable. But I also started up, and after beating that, I started up Super Metroid, which still holds up as the absolute best game of all time. It's so good.
Oh, wait, of all time? Really?
Super Metroid? Are you kidding me? Have you played Super Metroid?
Yeah, I bought it already on the virtual console.
Yeah, best game of all time.
I'm not saying it's not a good game. It's a fantastic game.
It is a perfect video game. One of the few. So I haven't beaten that yet, but I just love that game so much.
All right.
I played Game of Thrones episode 2. That was pretty nice. I don't know if you or Sandra have played that yet.
I don't think Sandra realizes that it's out yet. I keep telling her it's out one ear, out the other. So.
But that was pretty good. Just like the first episode, no matter what you do, people are going to die in horrible ways, which is nice. I played D4, the Xbox One exclusive. I don't know if you remember that game.
Yeah.
The crazy game from Swery65, who, that game's really weird. A lot of fun, though, in a really kooky kind of bizarre way, but like a lot of fun to play, either way. Cool characters. And I got Rayman Legends on Xbox One as well.
Hey.
That's the free game on Xbox Live Gold this month. So I was like, yoink, and I played some of that.
There you go, the game that's happiness, according to Joe over here.
So much good stuff.
Indeed.
But notably, I didn't play any of this stuff besides the order on PlayStation. This is all non-PlayStation stuff that I played.
So I've still been playing Monster Hunter 4. And I got my first cool armor, which what I love about this game, Joe, is this game makes it very easy to feel rewarded for your time. Like, you get some cool armor, or you figure out this new technique, or you get a new weapon, or you figure out how to do something. Like, there's always stuff that you're learning, and it just makes like all the effort that you put into it just the more rewarding. Instead of like other games where you just like pour hours upon hours upon hours until finally you get one gun. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's great when you get that gun, but Christ, that was a lot of work. Oh my God, it would be like, imagine if it took a month and a half to beat one boss in Dark Souls. That's kind of how it feels. But oh man, but yeah, I'm still shocked to this day how much I have been enjoying Monster Hunter 4. That's going to be in the Dark Horse tournament this year for sure, if I have anything to say.
I did play the demo finally for it.
Oh, okay.
I was like, okay. Like I played the easy level or whatever, the easy mission.
Yeah, the Great Jaggy.
Whatever it's called, I forget. But I played it, and it took like a 12-minute fight basically against that creature, and I got like a pouch. I was like, okay. And
okay, the pouch is the goddamn reward, dude. It's like
I was like, okay, and then I promptly exited out and deleted the demo. I was like, okay, I got it.
Oh, how do you delete the demos and stuff from there?
You got to go into the system settings.
Oh.
And then data management.
Okay.
It's very asinine.
Okay, the demo doesn't really show it off, as it only lets you kill the thing and get stuff, and that's it. But you can actually trade the materials you get from the monster. You can use to make better weapons, better armor, and other unique items that you can use in the game, like traps, healing items, and et cetera, et cetera.
I understand the appeal. It's just not for me.
Yeah. Well, at least you tried it. That's important.
I was like, okay.
I'm trying to figure out games to get for my vacation. I know at some point I'm going to sit down and beat The Evil Within finally, and get that done. I'm also really considering getting the season pass for Resident Evil Revelations 2 and just play through the episodes that are out right now.
Yeah, there's 2 of them out now, and then for your vacation next week, the third one will be out of 4 episodes, I think, or 5.
Oh, so they're doing like one every week?
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Wait a second. 4 episodes, and they're $5.99 each?
Yeah.
So you're not saving anything by getting the season pass for $25 then?
Well, I don't know. Maybe it's 5 episodes for $6 each.
Oh, okay. Well, that would be better.
But either way.
I'm pretty sure you're right, but anyway.
Either way, they're coming out every week.
Yeah, so I'll just do a horror game-tastic-centric period there. And, hey, finally sit down and watch stuff. Since HBO Go, spoiler for the news, is up on the show, is up on PS4, and thankfully I have AT&T Uverse, who doesn't block my freaking HBO Go. I'm going to check out Blade Runner for the first time, so I'm looking forward to that.
I actually have the Blade Runner set on Blu-ray that includes every cut of the movie.
Really?
Yeah. And they sold it for the regular price of just a single disc.
They probably had no idea that.
But I never watched Blade Runner before, and I still haven't watched it because it's like, which version am I supposed to watch? It's so overwhelming. Like, here's a box of 5 versions of the same movie. It's like, well, which is the good one?
Joe, it's not like it disappears afterwards.
Which is the good one, Malcolm?
You can watch any one. Just start with
I don't want to taint my impressions of the movie by accidentally watching the inferior cut.
Joe, just watch the original one, the one that created all this fantasticry. That it should be
the theatrical cut.
Yeah,
or the original director's cut, which I hear was superior, but not as good as some. I don't know. Like, what about the European theatrical cut?
European.
Well, yeah. There's 2 different. There's the U.S. theatrical cut. There's the. You know what? I'm going to grab it right now. Say something. I'll grab my.
All right. I didn't know all this, folks. I thought it was just one goddamn movie, but apparently it is 6 copies of the same bloody movie. I don't know how many you need. Actually, kind of reminds me of Scarface. I don't know. I've said this a few times on the show. I actually have like multiple copies of that show. I have the Platinum Edition. I have the regular DVD edition. I have the Anniversary Edition. And I have the Blu-ray edition that came out forever and a day ago in the steel case. And also, that something I cherish, I also have the World Is Yours PS2 game from forever ago, the unacknowledged sequel to the show.
All right.
Oh, just in time. I just finished my little spiel on Scarface. All right.
Oh, man, I just destroyed my shelf, by the way, trying to find it. All right. All right, so let's see here. We've got we've got the final cut, which I believe is the final cut.
Big Show's finisher, yeah.
Oh, God. All right, hold on. Here's the booklet. Here we go. All right, we've got the final cut, disc 1, released in 2007. We've got a making of disc here. Archival versions, U.S. theatrical cut, international theatrical cut, director's cut, and I guess that's it. So 4 versions of this movie.
All right, so you got the director's cut, theatrical cut.
2 theatrical cuts, U.S. and international.
And what was the last one?
The final cut, which I guess... I mean, the thing is that it's 2 versions of a director's cut. Like, they were both cut by Ridley Scott, but which is the actual theatrical cut? Or which one, Malcolm? Which one?
The final cut. Like, the director's cut was like his first draft, and then the final cut...
Wait a minute. Wasn't the theatrical version his first draft, and then the director's cut?
No, that was the marketing campaign's first... This is the one he chose right here. This was his vision, the final cut.
Oh, God.
It's like, so you will get through the movie, and then all of a sudden a Big Show's leg appears above Harrison Ford, and it just crushes him and he pins him.
So basically crippling
Maybe
indecision.
2 people got that joke, sadly.
But yeah, basically crippling indecision has kept me from watching Blade Runner.
All right, well, there's only one goddamn version on HBO Go, so I'll just enjoy that.
Yeah, you watch that one and tell me if it's any good, and we'll figure out which version that is.
Oh, and also I'll be getting the Sting DVD set just so I can, study something. Because apparently, as we just found out later, that the next episode that I'm in charge of is Sting. So that's great. We need to figure out. We don't do TNA, do we?
Does anybody do TNA?
Nope, we skipped right over that. So, all right. Excellent. That's going to save me quite a bit of time then.
Does anybody really want to hear about TNA Sting?
It wasn't good. The end. There you go.
Best forgotten.
Indeed. Hey, but folks, if you have any ideas for what I should do on my vacation, then send them over to me. Tweet them at me at psmalk, or write them into the show, FirmwareUpdatePodcast at gmail.com. But folks, it's time for us to not be journalists, I guess, as we head to the news. All right, Joe. So what happened in the world of PlayStation this week?
Well, this week we've got GDC news up the yin-yang, and apparently someone decided either they don't give a fuck or it's just poor planning, but it's also the week of PAX East. So some stuff might bleed into each other. So there you go. But first off, GDC, big news over there from the Sony camp, as they revealed Project Morpheus, or rather re-revealed Project Morpheus, showing off some of its upgraded technical specs, as well as revealing that it is slated for release in the first half of 2016. So it's not just a vanity project to grab headlines, apparently.
What?
It's a real thing here, Malcolm. Now, I'm not big on VR, so I'm not super into it, but...
You're not going to be super into the price, that's for sure.
So, of course, he did not reveal the price, but I only say that because I don't necessarily know what these specs mean. So here we go. All right, so they highlighted some key changes over on the PlayStation blog. Key change number 1, OLED display. In exchange of the 5-inch LCD, the new Morpheus VR headset is equipped with a 5.7-inch 1080p resolution OLED display. This new screen expands the field of view and enables low persistence, removing motion blur. A 120 hertz refresh rate, which means games from Morpheus can be rendered at 120 frames per second. And let's see, super low latency. Apparently, low latency, of course, is critical to making sure people don't vomit when they wear these headsets. So I guess they've managed to reduce the latency to less than 18 milliseconds, about half of what the first Morpheus prototype had. Low latency is critical to deliver a sense of presence, and of course, like I said, keeps people from throwing up all over. More accurate tracking to make positional tracking more precise. They've added 3 LED lights to the headset, 1 on the front and 2 on the side, for a total of 9 LEDs to support a robust 360-degree head tracking and a user-friendly design. Apparently, they've redesigned. The prototype they showed is slightly different from what they revealed last year at GDC. Apparently, it's easier to put on and take off with a single band design and a quick release button. The headband supports the weight of the unit on top of your head, so there's no pressure on your face. Other components have also been adjusted and configured to make the headset lighter so that players do not find the headset cumbersome or uncomfortable to use. Apparently, it's even more comfortable for people with glasses to wear, so that's good news for me.
Yeah, me too, yeah.
And, once again, this is slated for release sometime in the first half of 2016. And according to a report from GameSpot as well, apparently these specs, the core hardware behind the headset, have pretty much been finalized. So it's just a matter of working out the kinks, I guess, and nailing down a price and date. So there you go.
So congrats. I mean, so many companies are working on something like that. Samsung's working on this. And, of course, the most famous, Oculus Rift, which you see, like, developers up to wazoo. Like, I just saw somebody using it on Shark Tank.
Yeah, and then at GDC as well, Valve revealed a headset of their own that they're making with HTC.
Oh God!
So I mean, yeah, pretty much there's no shortage of VR. In the future.
But at least as of this recording, it looks like Sony is going to be the very first into the race for VR. So good for them. It's, as a wise man once said, if you're not first, you're last. You live your whole life by that. But but there are some lingering questions that we all have. Of course, number one, how much is this going to cost? I mean, if this is going to be even more expensive than the PS4, then yeah. Will this be like stuff like 4K TVs where it's ridiculously expensive at first and then maybe 4 years later it's less? Or are they going to find, like, I doubt it, but if they were able to get it around like 200, maybe 300, I could see this doing well. But yeah, so it's a little touchy. Plus, if they want this to do well, they're absolutely going to have demos like at the stores, Best Buy. I don't know if this is going to be a GameStop thing, but they should have just so people can experience it.
Yeah, and they've had demos over at GDC. People seem to be receiving it very well. Apparently, they had a pretty cool demo, I guess, of like some sort of bank heist or something, or jewel heist where you go and steal a jewel or something. And apparently, it's very very good. Apparently. So.
Yeah. To be fair, I've yet to hear a single negative thing about this. Like you're right. With everyone who's tried this, they haven't. They've loved it. It's been fantastic. So it'll be very interesting to see how this. Of course, the number one thing, the games. Like, is this going to be Vita 2, where it's like it'll get like support for like the big, like for the first month, and then no, or will this work with all games? Like, freaking A, imagine playing Resistance with this thing.
Don't be ridiculous. There's never going to be another.
No. Like, I believe I don't know if this happened or not, but somebody was showing like playing Portal with this game, which I could see as just being just fun.
Yeah.
So I'm very interested. I think VR is the next step. Like, go read the book Ready Player One, people, and you'll see like the potential of where it could go. Like, as soon as that's made into a movie, trust me, that's where everyone is going to be focusing on. It'll be Star Wars all over again. And
the thing with VR too, that it's had so many false starts for so many years. Like in the 90s, people were like, "Oh, VR is going to be the next best thing," but it just simply was not ready. Even though people wanted it to be the thing right then and there.
Virtual Boy, yeah.
Yeah, Virtual Boy is probably the highest profile example of that, where it's like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't rush this. And we're just now seeing, it's 20 years after the Virtual Boy, we're just finally seeing it rear its head again, and the time spent and, the technology being better. Clearly, it was time that was much needed.
Indeed. So, yeah, we still got some time till 2016, which leaves a lot of time for questions to be answered.
Yeah.
But it's exciting. Like, I can't wait to actually try this out and see how it does for me. As thus far, this is the only VR headset I've heard that is friendly to people who has glasses. Unless I'm mistaken or anything. So I'm looking forward to this one most of all. So, but we'll see. What's the next story, buddy?
Let's see. At the same presentation that they were giving for Morpheus, Sony also let it be known that they have sold more than 20.2 million PS4s worldwide, and that is sold through to consumers. So it's not just shipped to retailers.
Nope, no Microsoft numbers here.
They said that the system, quote, continues to demonstrate the fastest and strongest growth in PlayStation hardware history. We are so grateful for the enormous support from PlayStation fans worldwide, and we are truly humbled that gamers around the globe have continued to select PS4 as the best place to play, said Andrew House, president and global CEO of Sony Computer Entertainment.
And put in perspective, Xbox, the last number that they announced was 13 0.5, right?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, so dang. They are really winning this war right now. But yeah, we've said this like with every update of this number. Like, do you recall what the lifetime sales were for the PS2? I know we're a ways away from that.
Oh, that's like 120.
120. Oh wow, they've. So was this like what 2 years or 1 year did they do 20?
I have no idea, but I think they're basically on pace.
Oh yeah,
to match that.
Match or surpass. They're definitely on the right track. I mean, PS4 has been phenomenal. So phenomenal. I'd be really worried when PS5 comes out because they seem to have terrible luck with odd numbers. But yeah, I mean, the lessons they learned from PS3, they've corrected and are going through with them with the PS4, and it's working.
Okay. That was a gross, on my part, a gross underestimation of what the PS2 sold. It has sold over 155 million units as of March 31st, 2012.
Oh, okay. Well, still, it's
so still got a long ways to go.
Oh man, but hey, congrats to them. The system's doing fantastically, which is good for us being a PlayStation podcast and all. We're not going anywhere. But yeah, I mean, did you think it would go this well for him, Joe?
Probably not, to be honest. The price was obviously very, it was obviously priced to move, but yeah, I don't think anybody could have predicted over 20 million so quickly.
But hey, yeah, good on them. I think all they need now is just and keep in mind, this is them without a real clear mega smash hit on their side. Granted, I love Infamous Second Son and all, but come on. But once it gets this highly acclaimed game under its belt, which who knows, could be Bloodborne, could be Uncharted 4, could be could be the God of War that's coming up, or
it's not the order.
No, it's not the order. But once they get one of those, the number's going to get even higher. I mean, once again, this is without a mega smash hit on as an exclusive. But we'll see. I have a good feeling that at the very least, The Order is going to be a really, really good. The Order, Bloodborne is going to be a really, really awesome title here. I think it's going to break the streak because keep in mind we're going from Drive Club to The Order and now Bloodborne. So trust me, Miyazaki's going to hit it out of the park. I really think so. But congrats to Sony for 20 freaking million. Wow. All right. Moving on, Joe.
All right. So they held at GDC, of course, also means that it's also time for the annual Game Developers Choice Awards, where game developers, of course, choose the games that they believe are most deserving for in a number of categories.
Fighting/racing.
Woo!
Not hot genre.
Getting top billing this year as Game of the Year is Middle Earth: Shadow of Mordor,
Woo-hoo.
beating out Bayonetta 2, Destiny, Hearthstone, and Alien Isolation. Let's see, Monument Valley on iOS and mobile, and Android rather, got an Innovation Award. Best Debut was Stoic Studio with the Banner Saga. Best Design went to Hearthstone Heroes of Warcraft. Best Mobile Game or Handheld/Mobile Game was Monument Valley. Best Visual Art, Monument Valley. Best Narrative, Kentucky Route Zero Episode 3.
Okay.
I've heard a lot of good things about that, but I've never played. Best Audio went to Alien Isolation. Best Technology went to Destiny. Yeah, so those are the GDC awards. There was also an Independent Games Festival as well, where they offered different awards there as well. Excellence in Visual Art went to Metamorph a bit. Actually, let me see if there's even any PlayStation games on here, because there's all stuff that could come to PlayStation, maybe, but probably not. No, I don't see anything here. So I guess I'll just stop with the GDC awards. Right. There you go.
So Shadow of Mordor picks up another Game of the Year. What do you think, Joe?
Yeah, I've got no quarrel with that.
Have you even played the game yet, Joe?
Yeah, I played it.
Okay. I hadn't heard if you popped it in yet.
I mean, I certainly like it better than Dragon Age. Definitely more deserving than that.
I could say that. See that point there.
Like every Game of the Year award I see given to Dragon Age is just confounding to me. I just don't get it.
Okay, come on.
Confound. Let's see. At the funny thing though, at the GDC Awards was Tim Schafer going up and basically making fun of Gamergate with the sock puppet, and boy, did they not like that over at Gamergate. That was funny.
Oh, what do they like at Gamergate, Jesus?
They love harassing women and minorities and whatnot. That's a big pastime for them. They enjoy that very much.
Oh, gosh.
Boy, Gamergate. I can't make enough fun of Gamergate. They're the worst.
Yeah, they are the worst. What the hell?
Like Schaefer went up with this sock puppet, basically making fun of Gamergate, and then their ridiculous "Not Your Shield" hashtag, which they created which on the surface they're like, oh, this is for all the voiceless women and minorities that don't get a voice and like don't want to be used as a shield, basically, to attack video games. But like it's actually created for the express purposes of throwing those minorities in front of Gamergate so that they can basically be assholes without impunity. But it never worked because it's very clearly that they're using it. Quote, they're using Not Your Shield as a drum roll. As a shield, Malcolm. They're using the shield. That's exactly what it is. And it breaks my heart to see some people like actually hoodwinked by that. It's like, oh God, like you're a person of color, like I'm a person of color. Why are you doing this here? What do you like? What? There's nothing to gain here. You're just aligning yourself with this ridiculous movement. So it's funny to see Gamergate be just giant assholes to everybody for 6 or 7 months. And the only thing that it's gotten them in return is this ridicule from every facet of the industry, and it's very satisfying as someone who's seen many of the people that I admire either driven away or just basically driven away and harassed. It's been really annoying 6 or 7 months.
So Gamergate, is that like the name of the group? I thought it was just like a name of the scandal or whatever the movement was.
Who can even say what Gamergate really is? Because they've never had any clear goals, except for a very vague. They want ethics in games journalism, even though clearly they don't care about that at all. Because there are so many different ethical problems in the games industry that they just don't give a shit about. They just want an excuse to harass women that they disagree with. So,
yeah, freaking A.
Yeah. So yeah, like one guy went out. Like I was talking about this on Twitter last night, and my mentions immediately blew up with a bunch of Gamergate jerk-offs who ended up using a bunch of words that they clearly don't understand what the actual meanings are. Like they were because of the quote-unquote like purpose of Not Your Shield. They called Tim Schafer a racist and a sexist for trying to erase the voices of the minorities that support Gamergate. It's like he never even said anything remotely racist. He was just making fun of your phony hashtag. But they wanted to spin it as a racist attack. It's like, no, like that's not, like I don't think you know what racism actually is.
Nope, it's not that.
It is not a sock puppet on the end of Tim Schafer's arm. That's not how it works.
Oh God.
So, like one guy, like he showed me a picture of like Brutal Legend. It's like, look at this woman scantily clad. What a hypocrite that he is. I was like, I don't even like Brutal Legend, so why are you showing this to me? Like, I never liked Brutal Legend very much.
Was that a Tim Schafer game, Brutal Legend?
Yeah, it was Double Fine.
Okay.
Man, so yeah, it was funny to be called a racist and a homophobe and other things. It's like you don't know what those words mean.
No.
Like one guy used, the gay slur, the popular gay slur, on his timeline, and I called him out on it. And he's like, "You're a homophobe." I was like, "That's not no." Like you're the one using the word, you dumb dickhead.
Okay, so, Joe. The Gamergate talk friggin' depresses me.
It's the worst. It's terrible.
Oh God.
Like this was literally like 2.5 or 3 hours of my Twitter timeline yesterday, just flooded by these jerk-offs.
Yeah, I've spotted you like arguing with these guys on multiple occasions, and the thing where I don't jump in is that old adage, there's no winning an internet argument. There's no fighting stupidity, Joe.
Oh, no, definitely not.
The more logic you throw at them, Joe, they just get dumber.
But, I mean, if anything, like, I don't mind doing it because it takes heat off the people that do get even more harassment than I could ever get. Because for, sure, I'm a minority, but I'm not a woman, so I don't get a fraction of what some of the people that I follow on Twitter get. Like if I was a woman, I can't even imagine the relentless shit wall.
Until the answer simply becomes just don't go on Twitter, I guess.
So I mean, if I could detract some of those voices and direct them at me rather than and give someone else a break for even a couple hours, that's fine.
Yeah. I mean, I can only wonder, how this is damaging Twitter because are Gamergate guys? It's not like Gamergate guys are like hunting people down on Facebook or anything, or are they? Or
I don't know. Like it's not like Facebook has better harassment policies because both Facebook and Twitter are just horrendous at actually policing harassment. But yeah, it seems more prevalent on Twitter. I guess it's just easier to find people. But yeah, it's terrible.
Bad news bears. All right. Let's move on to the next story, which hopefully will have less Gamergate in it.
Yeah, the rest is all Gamergate. This news is not exactly PlayStation related, but I figured it's worth mentioning that EA has shut down SimCity and developer Maxis, which have created games that have appeared on PlayStation platforms like The Sims. They've created SimCity and Spore. Basically, the studio backed by Will Wright. They shut that down this week.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, that's crazy.
What was the last game they made?
SimCity.
On PlayStation?
Oh, on PlayStation, The Sims 3, I guess?
Oh, okay. Well, SimCity, wasn't that a train wreck of a launch, if I recall?
Oh, yeah. For sure. But that seems like it was more along the lines of EA just kind of being EA and making them do something that doesn't make any actual sense.
Do you think this is them passing the buck to this company?
Yeah, I would think so because, Maxis had basically a pretty big history of creating awesome games that people enjoyed a lot. Because SimCity before that was awesome. People loved SimCity.
Oh, yeah.
Whether it was stuff that did release on PlayStation, like I think there were a couple SimCity games on PS1, if I remember correctly. And of course, The Sims came out on PS2 as well, and PS3. So, they've got some PlayStation history, but I don't know. It's just weird to see such a prolific developer with one of the most revered developers or designers in Will Wright being shut down like that. R.I.P. to them. They don't deserve that.
Yeah. Good luck.
Just latest in the long line of EA kind of buying up a company and just kind of saying, all right, we've bought you and we're going to squeeze you dry, basically. Like I think it was a couple of other studios as well. Like Bullfrog was one of them, which is another PC developer that they bought and then eventually shut down. Hopefully they don't do that to BioWare.
Yeah, well,
that's what everyone.
They'd be bloody idiots to do that to BioWare.
They did it to all these other studios. That was people's biggest concern when it was announced a couple years ago that they bought BioWare. Everyone's like, no, because they at this point it's basically a death toll or death. It's signing a studio's death certificate at this point.
Well, they just made a game that is winning Game of the Year here and there. It would be really, really stupid of them to... I'm not saying there's no chance, but it would be so epically stupid if they did it. But we'll see. We'll see.
Well, they shut down the studio that created, I think, Command & Conquer Red Alert. So nothing's beyond them.
Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
Be a shame if they canceled it right now when they're working on Mass Effect 4. So.
Oh, God. No. It'll survive at least the release of Mass Effect 4, at least.
All right. So what else happened, Joe?
Another not quite PlayStation news, but noteworthy is Xbox executive Phil Harrison, formerly of PlayStation, has left Microsoft, apparently, according to sources floating around at GDC, according to numerous outlets. being told by numerous sources. Apparently, he left, or at least he is primed to leave the company. Apparently, word on the grapevine, Malcolm, is that after Don Matrick left Xbox a little while ago, he grew frustrated because when Phil Spencer was promoted to head of Xbox, he did not get a promotion as well. And apparently that was very frustrating for him. Apparently he gave some sort of ultimatum where if something wasn't done about that, he would leave. And apparently he's actually putting that into action. So everything is still kind of in limbo right now, but something interesting to keep an eye on.
Do you think he's coming back home, Joe?
He's coming back home to relaunch home on PS4. He's like, didn't get his fair shake. Time for PS Home once again. And then he'll leave PlayStation because that's a terrible idea. They're like, why did we bring you back? Get out.
It would have been great if he hit Phil Spencer with a chair and then spray painted Sony on the side.
But unlike
Shuhei Yoshida comes in playing an air guitar.
Well, unlike what happens in wrestling angles, he would very promptly be sent to jail. Instead of, walking away with rock music blaring over the loudspeakers.
It would have been even better if they were like, all right, I'm leaving. Then let's have a few beers, and then they start
like, no, you're going to jail.
Then
you're going straight to jail for a long time. Just hit Phil Spencer with a chair and spray painted him.
Oh, this would have been as an alternative. Because then, while he's drinking the beers, then he kicks him in the stomach and gives him the stunner, and he spews the beer and flies. Then, of course, he stays in the office and celebrates for a good 10 minutes before he leaves.
Oh, man.
If only it was like Russ. I mean, the closest time the video game industry has become wrestling, and we've talked about this, was E3, where they announced the price, where Sony just destroyed Microsoft in conferences when they announced, like, oh, we're not going to do DRM. Oh, it's going to be $100 cheaper. And, like, a Sony chant broke out, for Christ's sakes. And was this like normal people as well as journalists, or was it just journalists?
What do you mean?
In the crowd.
At the Phil... Which crowd are you talking about?
At E3.
Oh, it's well, the way Sony does it is that they invite some VIPs to sit in the first couple of rows as fans, and then everything else is basically press.
Oh, and they got a Sony chant from them. Wow, that's impressive. Greg Miller was up there saying, Sony! He brought a sign to the show. It was great.
He takes off his shirt, spins it over his head.
Oh, man. So, very interesting. We'll be following this. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Come on home, buddy. You can do it. All right. What's the next story?
All right. Looking at this news, so I figure may as well get the last bit of bad news out of the way, and then we can get back on the happy train.
Oh, God.
Apparently, this week, well, the good news is that HBO Go was released on PlayStation 4 this week. Finally, after like a year of it being on Xbox One.
Yep, wife downloaded it on both consoles. Works like a dream, too.
Yeah. Unfortunately, though, if you are a Comcast cable subscriber, as in, the TV service.
The EA of cable providers.
But actually much worse than EA could ever hope to be.
Oh, yeah.
Because they have the power to actually control information. But apparently, and this was a problem on PlayStation 3 as well, is that if you're a Comcast cable subscriber, you simply cannot access HBO Go. You can't do it. Apparently, people thought that, maybe with the PlayStation 4 app, whatever goofy issue they had would have been resolved and, access would have been open to all. But apparently, nope, they're just blocking access to HBO Go on PS4 as well. So that sucks. I'm a Comcast internet subscriber, so I was able to use it by logging into your account, which you so graciously provided me with.
Not a problem, buddy.
And since you're an AT&T subscriber, that's not a problem.
AT&T Uverse, go get it, folks.
So, yeah, I don't know what the issue is there because, all the other providers, not just AT&T, but, Verizon, Time Warner, and basically all the major, who you are.
DirecTV, yeah.
Yeah, basically all of them allow it. So long as you have an HBO subscription, you can log in just fine.
It's just Comcast being a bunch of dicks, is what it is.
Basically, yeah. So
I have to wonder, do you think this has anything to do with Sony doing PlayStation View in the future?
no, because I mean, then other providers would be following suit.
You would think, but maybe they're not as big of a jerk as Comcast.
No, I mean, by and large, cable companies are terrible. There's not a good one amongst the bunch.
Yeah, it's an obvious organized monopoly, one that people have done interviews admitting, and the government does nothing about it. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, the recent FCC ruling over the last week or so, where the FCC actually passed these sweeping net neutrality regulations by declaring the internet be filed as a utility like any other,
like electricity or something like that.
Yeah, so that you can't obviously you can't provide someone with less water because someone else is paying more. Like, no, everyone gets the same access to water no matter what they pay, and that's basically what they were doing. What they were trying to do with the internet. Like, oh, here's a fast lane for a little extra money. Like, no, you can't. That's shitty. Don't do that. So they passed those regulations stopping that. But cable is another thing entirely, unfortunately.
Oh, God, yeah.
So.
Thank God that cable is on its way out.
Yeah. Oh, God. I mean, everything about TV is just, like, TV in terms of, like, what is shown on TV is awesome. Like, TV's never been better, I think. Like, the shows on TV today are just amazing, but, like, the TV companies and the content providers are just the worst. Mm-hmm. Like, man, like MLB, like Major League Baseball
except
is
for
like...
Uvers.
Sure, whatever, you got to tell yourself, buddy.
Hey, we do good, man. We legit aren't in all areas, so we don't discriminate.
But, like, like Major League Baseball, for example, they've got this ridiculous blackout rule where, you can subscribe to MLB TV and get all these out-of-market games, but if you live in the same city, you can't watch your own team's,
The hell sense does that make?
Literally none, Malcolm. Because I guess the old thinking was that, you can just,
go to the park and watch the game?
Well, not go to the park, but, just watch it over the air on TV or whatever. On channel 22 or whatever the hell the channel is in your city. But the way it is now is like here in Chicago, most of the Cubs games have been moved to Comcast Sportsnet, which you of course need cable to watch. And even then, you need a special package to get all the sports channels, which I don't have. But I could pay MLB like $200 a year to get all these out of market games, but the only games I can't watch are Cubs or White Sox games. It's like, what the hell? It's like I could pay you $200 a year and still not watch the team I actually want to watch. So I mean, all these like the NFL is terrible too. I mean, all these different rules. There's so many different.
We don't have enough time on this podcast to talk about why the NFL is horrible, but I digress.
Oh yeah. But like even they've got like shitty TV rules. Like they have like this blackout thing where if the game isn't sold out, like if the stadium is not sold out, they will not broadcast the game on TV. It's like, what the fuck sense does that make? It's like, it's not my fault no one wants to go watch the Jacksonville Jaguars live.
Oh God, this is a show of so many tangents today, my God.
Boy.
But yeah. I cannot believe. Well, I can believe, unfortunately, in this country, that they can get away with this. It's like they're literally just stringing people for money at this point, and eventually the NFL or somebody or all these people are going to find out. Like TV is going to be subscription. Like all I really need is USA just so I could watch Raw. Personally,
yeah, basically.
Hey, so. Eventually, I'll be able to give USA like $6.99 a month, and I can just get that and save like a bunch of money.
Yeah, like that's literally the only thing keeping me from cutting cable completely, or is this it's like yeah, I guess I really want to watch Raw. I guess that's the only idiotic excuse I have.
Oh boy! All right, so what's next, buddy?
All right, back on the upswing. Here we go. Destiny apparently has reached over 17 million unique users, according to Bungie.
We are all unique, special snowflakes.
Yeah, they had a presentation over at GDC Yeah, so apparently this is up from 16 million about a month ago. GameSpot here is reporting that, of course, that does not mean that the game has actually sold 17 million copies, but it is a milestone just the same. So 17 million users basically across 4 platforms, PS3, PS4, Xbox One, 360. And of course, you can have multiple accounts per copy, I guess. You can share one copy for 2 different users on one console. So that's how that number kind of gets inflated a bit. I've never actually seen any sales numbers of the game. I only see that they kind of just port users periodically, but never sales.
Yeah, the only sales number I know is GameStop said it was the greatest launch of a new IP in history. So they sold something.
Yeah, but the amount is, who the hell knows? Like, the only benchmark you have to compare that to is that, okay, before that it was Watch Dogs and it sold however many it sold, but we haven't gotten a concrete number since.
Yeah, I mean, I assume it's doing well. I mean,
yeah, definitely.
I mean, whether people like it or not, Destiny is a lot like Britney Spears, or you never hear anybody.
It's toxic is what it is. You see what I did there? I knew that song.
It's like Britney Spears in the sense that I have yet to hear anyone say one thing positive about Britney Spears, but she sells like a ton of CDs, so somebody's listening.
Somebody somewhere is listening because they haven't heard better music before.
We had DCXM on the show, and she didn't have a single thing nice to say about it, and then ended with, and I've put in over 30 hours into the game. I was like,
yeah, that was one of the most surreal accounts of a video game I've ever heard. It's like, what? It's like, you put in how many hours into a game you don't enjoy? You guys are, you were making fun of me for putting 45 into Dragon Age, but that pales compared to what she put in on 2 consoles. She has it on PS4 and Xbox One, and she put in as much into each.
Indeed. And before anyone writes in, yes, RK, I know you love the game, and I know there are people out there that really play this game religiously, because it is, once again, fun game to play with people. It is. It's a fun game to play with people. The most fun I have is when I'm playing with Sandra and we're trying to get through something. But, yeah, it's like, when you're talking about it objectively, like, the story, I'm sorry, is non-existent. It needs more guns, really, because right now they're getting by having you work your ass off to get one. And then if you want to level that up, you have to work your ass off to maybe someday, hopefully, get a second one. But at the same time, it's the best first person shooter I've played as far as gameplay wise, like the mechanics, moving around, aiming, firing. I love it. I wish every game was like that.
Yeah.
But once again, when Joe sits there and starts spouting off negativity about the game, I've said it once and I'll say it again, I can't disagree. It has no story, Malcolm. Yeah.
Oh, the story exists. You just have to log into the website to read it.
Yeah, you need those Grimoire cards.
Are you fucking kidding me?
I mean, on the one hand, to defend that a little, I can understand because, people whine about, oh, they crammed the story down my throat. So this way, it's there if you really want to find it. But at the same time, I shouldn't have to go to a website.
Yeah, you could still make a codex in the game menu. Here's the codex. Read up if you want. Don't make me leave the console, then go onto a computer and log onto a website. It's like, what craziness is this?
I mean, if there's any sequel I'm the most interested in seeing, it's Destiny 2. Because all these complaints we've been having, it's Bungie. I don't think it's fallen on deaf ears.
Oh, yeah.
So I think a large chunk of this will be addressed on Destiny 2 whenever that drops. But for those of you playing Destiny right now, don't worry. We've got a while more of Destiny, and let me assure you. We got them DLC that's coming. Don't worry. All righty. What's next, Joe?
All right, Malcolm. After a video leak, Konami has confirmed that Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, is set for release on September 1st, 2015.
Woo!
Yeah, buddy. On top of this, they announced some pretty neat collector's edition stuff. First and foremost is the collector's edition game, which will retail for $99.99 and will include a a half-scale replica of Snake's bionic arm, which is weird but also super cool somehow. So there's that. You'll get a steelbook case. You'll get a physical map. You'll get some exclusive packaging, a Diamond Dogs box, which looks really nice and looks like it might even be bound in leather or something. And some additional in-game downloadable stuff as well that you'll be able to take across Metal Gear Online and for the single player as well. So pretty neat stuff there. They also revealed an awesome-looking PS4 that they'll be releasing in Asia, which is it's painted kind of burgundy on the top. Kind of like the same color as the Snake's arm with like a gold stripe across the top and bottom half. And it looks pretty sweet. Obviously, I'm not hurting for a special edition PlayStation 4, but I would like that controller that it comes with. It looks really nice.
The whole thing looks good. Like, I knew there was going to be a red PS4 at some point. I was expecting it for Bloodborne because, that just makes sense. But it looks really cool. I love the red on top with the black, and that controller looks sweet. But sadly, I've met my PS4 quota. So I'm all done there. And the first one, while just being black, it's the one I got on launch day. I don't want to lose that. And I love the white one too. So you know what? I'll sadly pass. But it does look sweet.
It looks pretty sweet. Yeah. There's no indication if it's going to come stateside, but it's very nice to look at just the same.
Indeed. Hopefully at least the controller comes out. I'll pick up the controller.
Oh, yeah, I would absolutely love a controller.
What do you think about that? Now, I tried to reserve this special edition, and unfortunately it's not out yet, and I know what's going to happen. It's going to be released at GameStop for pre-order on a day I'm not working, and by the time I realize it or get down there, they're going to be all sold out. So, because that's how that works.
Yeah, I hope that they also release it on Amazon because I'd rather do it that way. Yeah. But yeah, I'll definitely be picking up the collector's edition because, as we've established many times before, I'm a ridiculous sucker for Metal Gear Solid collectibles in general.
Yeah, I got the collector's edition of Guns of the Patriot. And it was actually Metal Gear Solid 4 that coaxed me into picking up a PS3 finally.
Yeah. There's some additional information I should probably relay here. Worth noting is that the PS4 version will retail for the usual $59.99, while the PS3 game will cost $49.99. That's interesting if you're still playing on last gen. Also, first-run copies will be labeled as Day 1 editions. They'll come with a physical map, I guess the same map that comes with the collector's edition, as well as some downloadable add-ons as well. So an XP boost in Metal Gear Online, some guns, some cardboard boxes, some fatigues, so all the cool stuff. Yeah, still plenty of reasons to pick up the game on day one, I guess.
Let's be honest here also. We were kind of off, which we were saying it was going to come out in June, because historically Metal Gears came out in June?
Well, not just that. It was mostly the fact that we figured, or it was very reasonable to suspect that Hideo wearing a shirt that reads June something in Swedish would also be an indication of when the game would release. I don't know if anybody listening remembers that, but he wore that shirt that everyone was like, hey, wait a minute, that says June in Swedish or Nordic or whatever. So it was Hideo, being the goofy guy that he is, it was not an unreasonable conclusion to jump to.
Oh, no, I'm not saying it was. But still, now, aside from that, yeah, I'm really stoked about it. I'll be getting the collector's edition, hopefully. Sadly, it's not on Amazon quite yet, but we'll wait and see here.
Yeah, keep an eye out.
Yeah. Oh, do you have the story about how Hideo was saying that, don't worry, Keith Sutherland isn't going to talk that much or something like that?
I do not have that story, but we can, I know the Cliff Notes version of that, basically him saying that he doesn't talk much, basically, throughout the game, which just seems like a very coded version of saying, Kiefer Sutherland is much more expensive than David Hayter ever was, so we couldn't pay him this much. So he's going to talk less.
Which, yeah, that kind of makes it a bit of a waste, doesn't it?
I mean, for all we know, it makes sense that he just will have less to say, and he'll be written in a way where that makes sense. But it's a very easy and cynical conclusion to make as well.
Indeed, and I wonder if that's the case. I wonder if it's also because the hate over the fact that it's someone different from David Hayter has been that strong.
No, I don't think it's that. I think, for whether you agree with the decision or not, Hideo's one to stick, to his guns, I think.
Yeah. Oh, I don't think he's going to. Okay, I'll ask you this then. Considering his history with trolling us, is there a chance that, this whole thing has been a gigantic ruse and when we play the game on the first, it's David Hayter?
No, I don't think that. I just don't imagine that a major Hollywood talent would participate in the elevation of someone whose biggest contributions, for as much as we love him, are basically just screenwriting X-Men, Watchmen, and also voicing Snake every few years. I don't see Kiefer Sutherland. But he was
so damn good at it, Joe.
I know, but I don't see Kiefer Sutherland signing on for that ride.
Imagine if he did, though. He gave out an award at the Video Game Awards show, and it was all a lie.
Malcolm, I'm sorry to say this to you, but I think we have to move. I think it's time to move forward from...
Yeah, you're right. But anyway, I saw that title and just thought it was funny. It was like, please be excited for Metal Gear.
Yeah, for me it was funny because for me it reads as we could not afford to get as much work out of Kiefer as we would have gotten from David Hayter for the same amount of money.
Which would be amazing because it's not like there's some indie developer. It's like freaking Konami and Fox Studios, for Christ's sakes.
Maybe, but then again, I don't think anything makes nearly as much money for Konami as Metal Gear does, to be honest. I don't see them Pro Evolution Soccer makes a fraction of the money that FIFA does, so that's not making them much money. Castlevania only comes out every few years, and those games are, hit or miss quality wise. Those are basically all. That's basically all they've got for moneymakers. Silent Hill every now and then, but same thing where it's the quality is not consistent. Metal Gear is the only consistent moneymaker that they have. Mm-hmm. So if the other games can't pull their weight to add some of that cash to the pile, I don't think that they could really afford to take chances financially, unfortunately.
Oh, boy.
Speaking of Kojima, though.
Oh?
He did the usual spiel where where with every Metal Gear release, apparently, this is the last one, Malcolm. This is it. He, in an interview to IGN, or with IGN, he said, quote, I always, and it's funny because he acknowledges it too, I always say this will be my last Metal Gear, but the games in the series that I've personally designed and produced, Metal Gear on MSX, Metal Gear 2, Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, 3, 4, Peace Walker, and now Metal Gear Solid 5, are what constitute a single Metal Gear saga. Was Metal Gear Solid 5, I'm finally closing the loop on that saga. Let's see. In that sense, this will be the final Metal Gear Solid, he continued. Even if the Metal Gear franchise continues, this is the last Metal Gear. So that's what he said. And then, hilariously, Kotaku put together a list of all the times that he has said that he's done making Metal Gear, including at the end of the year 2000, where he said that about Metal Gear Solid 2. He repeated that in 2001. When Metal Gear Solid 3 was about to come out, he said the same thing. Metal Gear Solid 4, of course, he said that was going to be a complete wrap-up of the story. So, yeah, he says this literally every single time.
He just loves trolling us.
The way it seems to go, he says this, and then he says... The way it seems to go is that he says that he's done, and that he kind of has an outline of what he thinks should happen in the series. But then someone else gets their hands on it, and the way it's shaping up isn't what he's had in mind. So he's like, oh, I guess I got to come back for one more ride. And that's kind of how it's gone the last couple of times. But yeah, I mean, until he's...
You turned it into a first-person shooter? Give me that.
What do you mean? No, Metal Gear Solid 4 is not a match 3 puzzle game. Give me that. Give me that. What are you doing?
What is this, a portal gun? Get that out of here.
So until he basically retires out of gaming completely, I would not believe him on that front in it. So until he's retired, I would never believe that he's done.
However, if I understand what he's saying correctly, that when he says that this is it, he's talking about the story of Solid Snake.
Yeah, sure.
And this being over, which is weird because he's not really ending it on Solid Snake. He's ending it on Boss again.
Also, he said that after Metal Gear Solid 2. He's like, I'm done with Solid Snake. And then, Metal Gear Solid 3 came out. It's like, okay, maybe he's not done with Metal Gear, but I guess he's done with Snake. And then Metal Gear Solid 4 came out. It's like, what the fuck?
I think what happened was he became a mark.
You can't just call him Old Snake and pretend he's a different person.
Yeah, it's like he became a mark for a different character. He's like, I really want to do more with this guy. And the people are like, dude, we want to finish the story. And then he was like, all right, fine. Here's Metal Gear 4. He's an old man and he can't do anything.
Oh, man.
But, yeah, as far as ending this story and then, now it's going to be, it can't be Raiden's story because you made him too powerful, but there can be a new Snake or something, or maybe it'll be Sunny that you control from now on. But, yeah, I can believe that.
Yeah, I mean, Kojima's track record is such that, I will absolutely buy and play anything he puts out. And, I think his track record in terms of quality games is unimpeachable. But on this front, where he says that he's done with Metal Gear Solid, never believe him for 1 second. Don't do it.
So does that, what you just said there, does that mean you will be buying Silent Hills when it comes out? Because that would probably be his next joint that he's working on.
Yeah. Although, I mean, who knows when that's actually out? We'll see.
2017.
Woo! Get excited.
Indeed. Please be excited for Silent Hills.
In 2018.
All right. What's the next story, man?
All right. So this has got me over the moon here, Malcolm. But
I know what this is.
After weeks of speculation, Harmonix has announced that indeed Rock Band 4 is coming sometime in 2015. It has been announced for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Apologies to the Wii U community.
You knew what you're getting into when you dropped that $299.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, yeah, of course. But super great. Apparently, anybody at PAX East over this weekend will be able to pre-order an exclusive Penny Arcade-themed guitar in person at their booth. So that's cool.
Ooh, okay.
So the cool part is that depending... If you have DLC on the PlayStation 3 version, you'll be able to carry it over for free on PlayStation 4, and vice versa as well and the same with 360 to Xbox One. If you had 360 and are moving to PS4, no luck there. But for anybody with a large PS3 library, the PlayStation 4 is the way to go. Yeah, pretty neat.
Wow. Okay. So. And then have they announced anything, like what the instruments are and all that, or just
no,
essentially that, hey, it's coming?
Apparently what they're doing, let's see, they also released the FAQ as well on the same post here on their forums. Let's see. Will my old hardware work? The answer is we're already working closely with Metacat, Sony, and Microsoft on solutions for letting you use legacy hardware on new consoles. This is a challenge on both the software side and the hardware side, but something we'd love to happen. We'll have more information on this in the coming months. Because basically what the issue is that I guess both the PS4 and the Xbox One, they have different, I guess, frequencies pairing the controller to the system than they did on PS3. So it's not as easy as just saying, yeah, just give us, like they have to create a new adapter to I guess make that frequency compatible with the system. So that'll take some work, but fortunately, the important thing is that Rock Band 4 is coming out. It's real. Oh my god!
Yay! I'll be telling this news to my wife later. She was a big Guitar Hero fan from the day and Rock Band as well. So I think she'll like the fact that it's back.
Yeah, and another cool
folks.
Another cool thing too is that on top of being able to transfer your music and whatnot, is that they very much are not planning to make sequels to this. They'll be like, okay, Rock Band 4 needs to exist because you need a new game to work on the new hardware. But beyond that, they're basically just going to be supporting the game with either new modes or new songs via DLC. So you'll just buy the game once, and you'll just add whatever you want to it along the way. Which
thank you is the way it should have been done in the first place.
Yeah, like I saw a quote somewhere. It's not on this post, but there was a quote somewhere. They're like, "Yeah, don't expect Rock Band 5 in 2016."
Nice, good for them. Good for them.
Yeah, indeed. It's a good time for Harmonix fans. They've got this cooking now. Of course, they've been working on Amplitude for a little while with that Kickstarter.
Yeah, I was about to say.
So, a lot of great news for Harmonix fans. I'm very excited.
And they released. I guess I don't want to call it a trailer because there's no gameplay footage on it. Really, it's just like the Harmonix Studios talking about this game. And, we're doing another Rock Band, and they're really happy about it too. They're like, yeah, I mean, we love the fact that this isn't like some big company telling us, all right, time to do it. It's like our fans want another one. That's why we're making it.
Yeah, because the first 3 games were basically published by MTV.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So they had pretty much final say in what could be done and what direction they had to take. But now they've pretty much won their independence. They're very much an independent studio now, so they can pretty much do whatever they want. And it's very clear watching that video that you mentioned that they never wanted to stop making Rock Band games, but the nature of the business made it such that it was no longer feasible to make more Rock Band games because the market had been flooded with so many Rock Band and Guitar Hero releases. But it's clearly something that they never lost a passion for. And watching the video, it's clearly something that they've been keeping an eye on, making sure enough time has passed and making sure that people are excited for bringing the game onto new hardware. And very clearly, they're very reinvigorated. It's very nice to see that passion.
Yeah. All right, what's the next story?
In other news that makes Joe extremely happy, Bethesda has announced Wolfenstein: The Old Blood as a standalone downloadable prequel to Wolfenstein: The New Order. It will arrive digitally on May 5th for the price of $20, 15 pounds, 20 euros, and whatnot. It will arrive on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, PC. The Old Blood, so I guess there's no PS3 version, even though the New Order was on PS3. Apparently this one will not be. Apparently Part 1, and this is on the Bethesda blog, Part 1 of Wolfenstein, The Old Blood, Rudy Yeager and the Den of Wolves pits BJ Blazkowicz against a maniacal prison warden as he breaks into Castle Wolfenstein in an attempt to steal the coordinates to General Deathhead's compound. In Part 2, The Dark Secrets of Helga von Schabs, our hero's search for the coordinates leads them to the city of Wolfsburg, where an obsessed Nazi archaeologist is exhuming mysterious artifacts that threaten to unleash a dark and ancient power. So this game will be set basically in the World War II portion of Wolfenstein, The New Order. I don't know how much you've played of that, Malcolm, but
so that might be a vacation game too.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, make that a vacation game. What the hell? There's after the first couple of chapters, there's a time jump where the Nazis have won World War II and are basically doing whatever they want in the years that follow.
Oh wow, shit!
So yeah, this will basically take place in the 40s. So I'm very excited for it.
All right, definitely. All right. So I need to catch up here. I imagine, you're totally on board with this. It sounds.
Oh yeah, $20. It's $20. You don't need the New Order to play it. You can just download it. It's great. It's very smart.
Which is a great idea. I hope everyone starts doing that because sometimes we trade the game in.
Yeah. So that's exactly what happened with Infamous, Second Son. I platinumed the game, so there was literally nowhere else for me to go with it. So I traded it in. And, then they announced First Light. I was like, ah, shit. But then they announced that First Light would be a downloadable standalone thing that you can play with or without, the game. So I was like, okay, there you go.
Oh, yeah, and they did the same thing with Festival of Blood, too.
That's right.
All right, so excellent. Look forward to May 5th then, people.
Yeah.
All right, what's next, buddy?
All right, for Danganronpa fans, got some more good news here as well. Apparently, it is in the works, Danganronpa 3. Someone, apparently Kimberly Wallace over at Game Informer, had the pleasure of sitting down and interviewing serious writer Kazutaka Kodaka via Kodaka confirmed that Spike Chunsoft is at work on a new entry, but it is still in the very early stages. Kodaka could not reveal much, but he did say one thing that won't change is, quote, that idea of surprising players, keeping them really on their toes and wondering what happens next. So basically, it seems like fans have a lot to look forward to and nothing to worry about.
Nice. Now, have you you've played Danganronpa, right?
I have bought the two games. I have not had a chance to play them just yet.
Well, you got to let me know how it is. I've been very curious about that game.
Yeah, I've heard extremely great things about it, so I'm very excited.
Yeah, it's like a hit over in Japan or the East. I know that.
Yeah, and people that have played it here seem to love it. Apparently, it's a mix of two games that I love very much in both Persona and Phoenix Wright. So I'm very excited to finally get into it soon.
Ooh, all right.
I've just been kind of working on some of the backlog stuff on the Xbox One because, yeah, it's like I've got this system that I basically just watch TV through. I forget that I have games on it that I should probably play just for the sake of playing them. So that's what I've been doing.
All right, Joe. What's next?
We have a release date for Mad Max, the adaptation of the upcoming movie, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Coming.
I think it's like its own thing. Believe it or not.
I actually don't actually know, but either way, Mad Max is coming. It's being worked on by Avalanche Studios, who are the developers behind the Just Cause series,
owned by King Kong Bundy. Yes.
And via a reveal for this month's Game Informer magazine, they revealed that the game is set to release on September 1st. I guess. They announced this the day before Metal Gear Solid 5.
How bad do you think they were cursing themselves?
I think this was revealed, the way, Game Informer covers are revealed, like early in the morning. It's like, yeah, this is neat. And then that trailer leaked for Metal Gear Solid 5. It's like, whoops. And then they confirmed the date the day after that. I was like, oh, well.
Motherfucker.
Yeah, so that sucks. But either way, the game looks fine. Seems like it's going to be a lot of fun, especially with the developers behind it. Interestingly, though, the planned Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 versions have been canceled. So the game will only release on PC and current-gen consoles, PS4 and Xbox One. So if anybody was still counting on playing that on PS3, it's time to upgrade.
Yeah, it's definitely time to upgrade. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
You know what this reminds me of? You ever watch Mega 64?
Not very often, actually, but I've heard a lot of fun things about that crew over there.
Oh, Mega 64, they did this skit where they were playing the owners of the Cabela hunting games, but playing them all as over-the-top rednecks. And they're like, oh, this is going to be the best game of Cabela ever. And this was done shortly after Bungie announced that when the new Halo game was coming out, and it was apparently coming out the same day as this Cabela game. So the skit then turns, it goes over to Bungie headquarters, like legit. They actually go to Bungie headquarters dressed up as these rednecks with like these Wii shotguns. And just like, we want to talk to your studio heads ruining our game. Oh, it was good. It was good. They're a hysterical group if anyone gets a chance to see them. But, oh, poor Mad Max. My God. And the awful thing was I was really curious about this game too, but now I don't know if I can play the game now, or if I can afford it.
Yep.
All right, and we're back, folks. Sorry about that. Spanish Jehovah's Witnesses came by.
Awesome.
I say Spanish because they asked if we saw the Bible and all that in their hands. They asked if we spoke English. We said no, and they promptly turned and left.
Oh, well, the good word is universal now.
You would think. I'm sure there's some guys who don't speak Spanish up in heaven. I mean, oh, man. But anyway, do you have anything else to say on Mad Max there, Joe?
No, I do not.
All right. Moving on.
All right. This is a weird way to find this out, but apparently, while tweeting about his departure from Studio Media Molecule, head of audio Kenneth Young may have accidentally revealed when Tearaway Unfolded could release. On Twitter, Mr. Kenneth Young said, quote, in one tweet, he said, sad to announce that I'm leaving Media Molecule, but excited to announce that my first client as a game audio contractor will be Media Molecule. So he's still working with Media Molecule as a contractor. He says, quote, I'll be working with my friends there until we ship Tearaway Unfolded this summer. Then I'm going to have a rest. So,
good job.
So that, of course, Tearaway Unfolded is the PS4 kind of reimagining, I guess, of the Vita game that I loved so dearly in 2013. And yeah, like there wasn't a release date for it. They just kind of showed it off like at E3, I think, or I forget when exactly they revealed it, but or Gamescom 2014 is when they revealed it. And hopefully it comes out this summer because that game deserves an audience.
Indeed, and I think that's a lot of the reason why it's coming to PS4. Is, it was a finalist in our Game of the Year for 2013, if I recall correctly. And however, it was a Vita exclusive, and let's face facts, not too many people play the Vita. So this way, this gets a lot more people a chance to play the game. So I'm looking forward to it. However, I think we should both agree at this point that if you're working on a game or something that's, information sensitive, maybe you should just not use Twitter. At least for just that period of time when you're under, a contract or freelancing or whatever.
Yeah.
You'll let stuff out.
It's funny, though, that he left Media Molecule to be a contractor, and then his first client is Media Molecule.
It is. Media Molecule is like the WWE in that sense. We're all independent contractors for now. No health care for anybody. All right. All right. So, what is next, Joe?
Let's see. It has been announced that Tropico 5 is set for release on PlayStation 4 on April 28th, 2015. I don't know if you know the Tropico series, Malcolm, but
I do not. All I know is that it has pictures of what look to be dictators on it.
Yeah, I basically have the same experience you do here. But, I saw this on the PlayStation blog. It seems to be a successful enough franchise where it seems under the radar, but games keep coming out. So clearly it's resonating with somebody. So I figured it'd be worth talking about here.
Yeah, we're going to get so much hate back in the like, how do you guys don't know Tropico?
I'm sorry,
man. We're not saying it's a bad game. It's just that it never was on our radar.
We just don't know.
Indeed. So I'll YouTube some gameplay footage after the show. How about that? Call it even, guys. All right. Moving on.
All right. Magica 2. I don't know if you remember this game at Sony's E3 press conference last year.
I remember the hysterical trailer for it.
Yep, that's the one. They revealed that it will be hitting PlayStation 4 on May 26, 2015.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah, the Paradox Interactive, the game's publisher, updated the game's information page or product page on the official publisher site with that date. So there you go. Along with, I guess, a new trailer, I think. So, cool beans.
Yep, this is awesome. All righty. Do you have anything to say on Magica?
I do not.
All right, moving on. What's next?
Let's see. Stealth Inc. 2. I don't know if you remember this, Malcolm, but it was previously a Wii U exclusive.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, the original game came out on PlayStation as a cross-buy thing. But the second game was a Wii U exclusive. That ends in early April, as the game is coming to Xbox One, PC, PlayStation 3, PS4, and Vita. There you go.
You have a Wii U, Joe. Have you played it?
I've not played Stealth Inc. 2, but I played a fair amount of the original game on PlayStation Vita, mostly. Mostly during breaks at work when I had that.
Had the Vita? Or did you trade it in?
No, when I had work.
Oh. Oh, that's a shame.
Womp womp.
All right. Well, excited for that. More games coming to the PS4 is always good.
Yeah, there's still plenty more here.
Oh, all right. What's next?
Let's see. Heart Force Alicia is coming to PlayStation 4 and Vita in early 2016. I believe this game was just recently kickstarted as, I guess, just a PC game, I guess, because just now they're revealing the game for PS4 and Vita. But it seems to be a Metroidvania RPG, according to this image on the PlayStation blog, and looks very colorful and very nice. I'm actually looking forward to whatever this ends up being. Yeah, it's... somebody brought up the fact that, there's so many Metroidvanias now, right?
Mm-hmm.
But, and, for the most part, I'm happy to play them all because I love that type of game, whether it's Metroid or Castlevania or anything in between. But something that somebody pointed out, Maddie Myers on Paste Games, she pointed out that, the one thing that sets Metroid apart from the games that it spawned that somehow has never been replicated is that Metroid is the only one that actually stars a female protagonist in it. Like all the other Metroid game or Metroidvania games are just like, yeah, let's put a dude in here. It's like, kind of misses the point of the...
Joe?
Oh, God damn it.
Oh, you're roboting out on me, buddy.
Okay, I'm getting red bars here. Internet connection problem.
Oh, dear. Well, I'm hearing you right now.
Okay, there you go. Okay, that's gone.
Okay.
But, yeah, basically the argument being that, thematically, part of the Metroid's charm is that, it cribs a lot from Alien, and both Alien and Metroid. It's very important to their story and theme that, the protagonist is a woman. Mm-hmm. But, literally no Metroidvanias after Metroid actually use a woman as a playable character. So it's like, okay, that's actually a very good point.
It is pretty interesting. I never thought about it at all.
But Heart Force Alicia stars the titular Alicia, who is indeed a woman or female of some age. So there you go.
Awesome. All right. What's next?
Wasteland 2 Game of the Year Edition is coming to PlayStation 4. I believe that was kickstarted a little while ago as well, and that also will be coming to PlayStation 4. Apparently, it is a hardcore RPG, according to this PlayStation blog post. Isometric, kind of looks like the original Fallout games, Fallout 1 and 2. The top-down isometric type thing. So that's interesting. Look forward to that sometime soon. They didn't actually put a date on this thing. Late summer 2015. There we go.
Are you excited about this, Joe?
I've never played Wasteland, and I did not back the game because I don't know what it is.
Yeah, same here. All right, moving on.
Let's see. Another game announced for PlayStation 4 is called Centris. It is what is referred to as a musical performance puzzler. I see the developer made a blog post over on PlayStation blog saying, when I say a new kind of music game, what I mean is that Centris is very different from the rhythm games you already know. So what exactly is new about Centris? All the music games I've played have shared one thing in common. You are recreating a song that someone else composed. As a player, I've been wanting a game where I get to make my own music with a high degree of control. Centris is that game. To play, you drop curved blocks called sound blocks into a spinning loop. As you do, they play their contained sound, and they play once more with each full rotation of the loop. So I guess you just kind of solve puzzles out of music, basically. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's a good idea. It sounds complicated, dropping blocks into a circle which creates sound. I mean, I guess if you're like a music guy, it's going to be easy peasy. But I'll just wait for Rock Band. Hope it does well, though. Sounds interesting. All right, what's next?
Let's see. The last game here announced for PlayStation platforms this week is a co-op brawler called Super Dungeon Bros, which is coming to PlayStation 4. This game, I believe, does not have an actual date on it, unfortunately, but it is. Let's see. In this game, you'll take control of a group of hard-rocking warrior bros in the ever-changing dungeons of Rockheim, facing dangerous foes, deadly obstacles, and hazardous puzzles. So, looking at the screenshot on the PlayStation blog, it kind of seems like you get a similar camera view to something like Diablo.
Okay.
Well, distant camera. I don't know if it actually plays like Diablo.
Nope,
but
confirmed. It's exactly like Diablo.
All right, there you go. Yeah, the camera angle kind of is basically Diablo, but I don't know what the gameplay is actually like. It's described as a brawler, so I'm gonna guess it's not about collecting loot and whatnot. But maybe
like Double Dragon, or
I guess so.
Huh.
Or what was that one brawler that Square Enix made on PS2? The Bouncer.
Yeah.
Wonder if it's like that.
It would be amazing if it was like that. That was such an interesting experiment.
Man, I can't believe I even remembered that game.
Oh, yeah. That was the launch title, if I'm not mistaken.
Or launch-ish.
Yeah, that was around there, yeah. Wow, good memory. All right, so I'll keep an eye out on this one. Who knows, maybe it might be something of interest.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Let's see. Life is Strange. I don't know if you remember this game, Malcolm. The first episode of this episodic thing came out a little while ago from Don't Nod Entertainment, published by Square Enix. Don't Nod Entertainment having previously made, what was it called? Remember Me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the first episode was released a little while ago. Apparently, episode 2 was originally scheduled for release on March 13th. And apparently that is... Well, actually, there's conflicting things from both Square Enix and Don't Nod Entertainment. In the original story here on IGN, Square Enix confirmed that the game, or that the episode would be delayed. Development is on track, and we're looking forward to release it before the end of March. So I guess a week or two delay, according to Square Enix. But after that, after Square Enix told that to IGN, Don't Nod Entertainment spoke to IGN, saying that it is still on track. So who knows? Who knows? Two different reports from both the publisher and the developer. So I have no idea what the situation there is exactly, but figured it'd be worth relaying that information.
Very good. All right, what's next?
Here's some sad news, I think.
We got all the sad news out of the way.
Well, it's not like terrible news. It's not like... But Gone Home, the PC darling that released in 2013, that was announced a little while ago as coming to consoles, but apparently that has fallen through as developers from Fulbright went over to the Game Over or to Kind of Funny Games, that thing that Colin and Greg are doing.
It's funny that you mentioned Colin first before Greg. That's
that's just what came to mind. But they went over to their live stream to talk about, I guess, Gone Home and their upcoming things. And there they said that Gone Home for console is not actively in development any longer, and that the deal that they had with Majesco, which was going to publish the game for consoles, has sadly come to an end. So unfortunately, I guess that's not coming to PS4 anytime soon, unfortunately, as was originally planned.
Now, this is the game that you mentioned where you're like a dude who's coming home and you're just going through stuff and you find out the story of the game just by going
You are a lady.
You are the... What's that?
You are a lady.
Was that a spoiler? Was that a reveal at the end of the game?
No, you're a young woman coming home from college or something.
Oh, okay. I thought it would be like Metroid, where you're like, oh, I was known the whole time.
No, you're very clearly a woman. Yeah, apparently they want to focus their attention on their upcoming title called Tacoma, which was revealed during
Washington?
the Game Awards. No, it was revealed at the Game Awards in December a little while ago. But yeah, that game looks super promising. So if they want to I guess drop Gone Home from coming out on PS4 to work on that instead, I'm not totally against that because that looks amazing.
Is Tacoma coming on consoles too?
I don't know. I don't think they've said.
Oh, god damn it.
But, with the success of Gone Home, they might have scratched up enough money to do a multi-platform release. So who knows?
Hopefully. We'll see. Yeah. All right. And what else is there?
My final bit of news here, Malcolm, is that not only that Sony is apparently in talks with the director of Tron Legacy, Joseph Kosinski, to direct Sony's Gran Turismo film.
Ooh.
Yeah, there you go. See, Joseph. This is on the Hollywood Reporter. Joseph Kosinski, the filmmaker behind the sci-fi movies Oblivion and Tron Legacy, is in early negotiations to direct Gran Turismo, Sony's adaptation of the hit PlayStation video game. The project is a favorite of Columbia Pictures co-president Michael DeLucas. He was a producer on it before taking his Sony post. DeLuca, who will remain a producer on Gran Turismo, will oversee with newly arrived VP Matt Milan. Let's see, plot details are being kept deep in the pit, but at 2013's Gamescom, Kazunori Yamauchi, the lead designer of the Gran Turismo series, reportedly said it would center on a video game player turned racer. So, there you go.
Nice. So what is the story for the movie going to be? Is it just going to be Fast and Furious Set 8 or what?
What I hope they do is they just kind of I just hope they show that one guy from the very first Fast and the Furious movie, who before the very first race that you see, the first race where Dom and Brian meet.
Yeah.
Before that race, there's a guy sitting in his car where he's hooked up a PS1, and he's playing Gran Turismo in the dash. Hopefully the movie is just looping that over and over.
The whole movie is just this guy playing Gran Turismo sitting in his car. Oh, that would be amazing. Just seeing people's faces when they realize that's the movie. Oh, God. All righty. Well, with that, Joe, you know what time it is.
Yeah.
It's time for the drop.
Ooh.
So what dropped this week, buddy?
All right. So this week on the PlayStation Store, you can get Aces of the Air as a PlayStation 1 classic. I believe that is available for the price of... It does not say. Here we go. $5.99. There you go. You can get that on PS3 and Vita, of course, as a PlayStation 1 classic. You can get Crimson Land as a digital 3-way cross-buy. Apparently, it's releasing on PlayStation 3, so it's already out on PS4 and Vita. That's a digital release you can get for $13.99. Helldivers is out as a 3-way cross-buy, PS4, PS3, and Vita. You can get that for $19.99, or as a launch, I guess. They're doing the spring break sales event, so this is kicking that off. You'll get a 10% off of that with your PlayStation Plus discount. So you can get that for $17.99 on PS Plus.
Nice.
La Mulana X, or EX rather, on PlayStation Vita. I thought this was already out, but apparently not. It is basically, the description is a combination of classic 2D platforming, Metroidvania-style adventuring, and a challenging action gameplay. La Mulana EX takes you deep into the ancient ruins of La Mulana on a quest to discover not just valuable treasure, but the secret to life itself. It's basically like a super hardcore Spelunky, which is hardcore enough as it is. I think this is like a remake of a fairly old game. I think it was on like PC like 20 years ago, and now they're like, hey, we should put that on Vita for some reason. So,
oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah, it's been well received, so it makes sense to put it on Vita. Ollie 2 is out. Welcome to Hollywood. You can get that on PS4 and Vita for $14.99 cross-buy. You can also get it free on PlayStation Plus, as it's one of the games for March.
Did we go over that?
We did not, because Sony did not tell anybody what the games were for March until the day of the PlayStation Store update. Apparently there were some last-minute negotiations in terms of getting that together. So it was a very last-minute thing. Apparently, from what I can gather, the PlayStation Plus collection, or at least in Europe, was supposed to include Dishonored, the PlayStation 3 game, but that apparently fell through, and they ended up putting something else in its place. And people know that it was supposed to be part of it because when they published the PlayStation Plus post on the blog originally, the Dishonored was still in the URL, so people were able to put that together. But yeah, there you go. We'll go over the other games as they come along. But let's see. Orishika, Tainted Bloodlines is also out on PlayStation Vita as a digital title. You get that their game for $19.99. I don't know if you remember this game, Malcolm, but they announced it as one of a few Studio Japan titles that were making their way stateside, along with I think Soul Sacrifice, like a Soul Sacrifice 2 or something, and some other stuff. As the things that Tokyo Japan or that Studio Japan was working on that they were bringing to the US, and this was one of them. Where
oh wow,
I don't know if you remember this game at all, but the description is: guide your clan over multiple generations on an epic quest to lift a curse against your bloodline, battling cruel enemies and spectacular bosses in this beautiful watercolor turn-based RPG set in ancient Japan. So it's a very pretty game to look at. It's got an interesting premise. Sony has put zero push behind it, so it's going to bomb terribly, unfortunately.
Yeah. I don't remember it at all, no.
I barely remembered it, and I had to look at it, and I was like, oh, yeah, I remembered it. But, yeah, Sony's done pretty much literally nothing to push it,
That's kind of their Achilles heel, unless you're, an exclusive first party, like Bloodborne.
They are! It's a Studio Japan game. Or Japan Studio, whichever.
This is a Sony exclusive?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
So I don't know what the hell they're doing.
Yeah, me neither. All right. So what else?
Shiftlings is on PS4 as a digital title for $14.99. White Knight is on PS4 for $14.99. The digital title. And Zombie Army Trilogy on PlayStation 4 as a $50 digital title. Demos and betas include Bladestorm Nightmare for PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 3, and a PS3 demo for Crimson Land. Let's see. As for PlayStation Plus, your games this month are Oddworld Abe's Odyssey, new and tasty. The PlayStation 4 remaster of the PlayStation 1 Classic. I don't know if you remember that, but that's pretty cool. Also on PlayStation 4 is Valiant Hearts: The Great War, Ubisoft. What is it? UB Art game. I don't know if you played it at all, Malcolm.
UB Art? Is that like a drawing game? Like Mario Paint?
UB Art's the engine.
Okay.
It powers Valiant Hearts, empowers Rayman, and empowers Child of Light. They all run on the same UB Art engine.
Oh, cool.
You played Valiant Hearts, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
I already purchased it, sadly, so I don't get it. But, it was worth it. It's a good game.
Yeah. On PS3, you can get Papo.io for free, as well as Sherlock Holmes, Crimes and Punishments.
Which you were really into, so I'm very curious to try this one out.
Yeah. Of course, I played it on PlayStation 4. I don't know what the PlayStation 3 game is like. I would imagine it's not as pretty to look at, but if the gameplay holds up, it's definitely worth a look if you still got PlayStation 3 plugged in.
All right.
So definitely check that out if you can. Ali 2, again, is free on PlayStation Plus. So it's out this week, but you can also get it for free. So cool beans there. And Counter Spy is also the last PlayStation Plus game for this month. So you can get that on PS4, PS3, and Vita as well. So pretty good month, I think, overall.
Yeah, not bad.
Sherlock Holmes is the only retail game available, or retail game being made available for free. So some people are disappointed about that, but otherwise, I think, a fine month. Ali 2, I'm especially excited to get into because Ali, the original game, is I think one of the very best Vita games available. So to see that get a sequel, I'm very excited for that.
And I was not expecting it to be a PlayStation Plus game either. That's
like I was only expecting it because I think it was announced for PlayStation Plus in Europe, and then everyone's like if we're gonna get, it'd be nice for us to get the same game for free. So I kind of held off on on buying it or pre-ordering it.
Yeah, and I have to say, that's one of the things I like about PlayStation Plus, is you could get a game that just came out on PlayStation Plus, as opposed to other places where it's like older games. So, but I mean, there's older stuff here, like Counter Spy came out during last year's Play promotion in 2014 over the summer. But like you said, Ali 2 is out on PlayStation Plus day and date. Like Apotheon was the game last month that was out day and date, and like Don't Starve came out last year in January. So a lot of stuff is out day and date. Alrighty. Well, with that, folks, that does it for the news section. And now we head to the topic of the week. All right, Joe, so what's the topic this week?
Well, Malcolm, it just so happens that we have a pretty major anniversary here this week to celebrate.
Oh, what's that?
Well, on March 4th of the year 2000, a little system called the PlayStation 2 was released in Japan.
Ooh. So
that's pretty important, I think, seeing as how it is the single most successful video game console in video game history.
Indeed. That's pretty much where, for the most part, it started for me, being as far as a major PlayStation fan. So what we were thinking is that we could sit down with you guys and share some of our favorite PlayStation 2 memories with you guys. And, just sort of, reminisce about, the fun times we had with the system.
Word.
All right, Joe. So what was one of yours?
Well, I still remember going into Toys R Us to grab my PlayStation 2 after, waiting a few weeks to figure out where... Because, that launch for the PlayStation 2 was pretty rocky. Not that, people didn't want to buy PlayStation 2s. It was quite the opposite in that you couldn't find them anywhere, and if you did find it, you had to be careful not to get shot or robbed in a parking lot so that you could, survive the trip home with your new PS2. I don't know if you remember all that, Malcolm, but it was crazy for a while.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, I've apparently forgotten. I'll go into that a little bit with my memories, but seriously, you could have got shot.
Oh yeah, people were hurt trying to get PlayStation 2s.
$100 system, Jesus Christ.
But thankfully, my trip home was pretty uneventful. I was able to get my PlayStation 2 over at Toys R Us, along with my copy of Midnight Club. And it was pretty straightforward getting that from the store over to my house. But, playing Midnight Club was the first game that I got for my PlayStation 2, and I still have it on my shelf over there. And man, that game was a lot of fun. It's not aged very well in that it's pretty ugly to look at now, but that old Rockstar joint still was a lot of fun. Going around New York City in my New York cabs and buses on top of the rice burners that they put in the game. It was a lot of fun. What was your first PS2 game, Malcolm?
Let's see. Well, my first memory as far as the PlayStation 2. I'd actually played the PlayStation 2 with quite a few people. I had roommates who owned it and what have you. But when I moved out on my own, it was actually the very first video game console I ever bought. With my own money. I owned it. Parents didn't get it for me. Nobody, gave it to me. I took $100 to a Best Buy, grabbed one, and it was mine. So, for that reason, the PlayStation 2 was, pretty dear for me. It was sort of like a testament that I'm an adult now.
I'm sorry, how much money did you pay for yours?
$100.
What year was this?
It was a pretty long while, I guess.
Okay, because I'm pretty sure that thing cost $300 when it came out.
Well, I didn't get it at launch for a long period of time. I lived in Lyndonville, Vermont, and I may as well have been cut off from the rest of the world. So it's.
I was like, wow, holy hell! Did your PS2 fall off a truck, and then you paid $100 to some other shady dude for it?
No, but
Because that's actually what happened with our Nintendo 64. My brother's like, I bought my like we got an N64. I was like, sweet. I was like it only cost me $100. I was like, how? And I was like, oh, I was better off not knowing that. Why would you tell me that?
Let's see. One of my first major fun experiences with the PlayStation 2, because while I didn't buy it, I had roommates who had the system, was Grand Theft Auto San Andreas.
Oh, man.
Which was like a fun game, or we would just take turns playing it, where we'd either run around shooting stuff. We had this fun game called Super Tank, in which you summon the tank, and then you turn the turret around so that it's going behind you as you move forward. And as you fired a shot, you suddenly gained this burst of speed. Yep. It just plowed through everything. It was really fun. I remember making it a point that whenever it was my turn, I would take CJ to the gym because I just wanted him to be ripped.
Man, and was that the first time we played any of the GTA games?
Yeah, it was. So I missed the whole top-down bird's eye view era of that game.
I never played the PS1 games, but obviously Grand Theft Auto 3 was the big revolutionary game. Like I was still in 8th grade when I got the PlayStation 2, and it was during my freshman year in high school that I heard about Grand Theft Auto 3. Like I just remember kind of like sitting in math class in my algebra class. Some of the kids were whispering about it. I was like, "What's this Grand Theft Auto thing?" One of my friends let me borrow it, and I was like, and I played it, and I was like, "Holy shit, this is the most amazing thing that's ever happened to me." And I remember, after that, the year after that, Vice City came out, and that was the last time I remember that you actually had to reserve a game to ensure that you could get a copy, because me and my friend went to like several GameStops all over the place, trying to get Grand Theft Auto Vice City, and they were all sold out. I was like, holy shit, this is crazy. Yeah, and with San Andreas, I was able to get that at Best Buy by reserving it. And I reserved that, I believe, at the Best Buy by my high school. And that was my junior year, I think. So a lot of memories with Grand Theft Auto.
Let's see. Another memory I had was Final Fantasy X on PlayStation 2 was actually a pretty big family experience, where essentially it was like I was living with my semi-adoptive family, and it was essentially me, Jen, and Andrew, and we basically teamed up to get all of the ultimate weapons in that game, which the amount of stuff you had to do to get all of those weapons, I would put up against any of the hardest to get items ever. Like some of the stuff you had to do were just like so over the top and ridiculous. Like you'd have to win the Blitzball tournament itself. Or my personal favorite, and it's still like one of my most proudest achievements in video game. There's this area which I believe is called Thunder Valley. As such, because lightning will periodically strike, and if you're not quick enough to press X, you'll get struck by lightning. Now, in order to get one of the pieces of this game, to get one of the ultimate weapons, you have to dodge lightning 200 times in a row. It was a gigantic pain in the neck because you would get the flash, so you knew you had to press the X just as the flashing stopped. I'm epileptic once again. So I would dodge 10 times, stop, loosen up a little bit, dodge 10 more times, stop, loosen up a little bit. And this is after a good week of trying to get this thing, but then getting struck by lightning at like 170 or 180. And I did it finally. Like I had Andrew counting, and he was like, "All right, 10 more," and I made it to 9, and he stopped me. He was like, "You're good. I was 10 behind on purpose, so you'd keep going just to be on the safe side." So I went in, got the sigil, and I was like, oh, thank fucking Christ. Andrew then had to do Kimari's. You're in like this maze where you have to collect the blue butterflies, but you have to dodge the red butterflies. Yes, Joe, it sounds as confusing as it sounds. And you were timed as well, so you could like, if you could like run out of time even though you just got everything, and he was able to do it. And those are the ones I remember off the top of my head. Other ones where you have to beat all the enemy bosses in the battle arena and all of this. And then finally with the sigils and all the ultimate weapons, like the characters could now do more than 9,999 points of damage. They could do 99,999 damage. And I gotta tell you, there's nothing more satisfying than seeing Yuna run over to a behemoth, bonk it with her wand, and do that amount of damage and kill it in one shot. It made it all worth it, Joe. It was great.
Man, like the craziest thing that I've ever put time into on my PS2 was probably Gran Turismo 4. I sunk an ungodly amount of hours playing that thing. And, I love that game to death. That was like over the course of my PlayStation 2 ownership, I don't think there was any game I anticipated more than Gran Turismo 4. Because Gran Turismo 3 was so great. Like, it was so immediately great. And then Gran Turismo 4 was delayed so many times. So when it finally came out and it was as great as it was, I just lost my mind. I was like, holy shit. And I think that's where they introduced endurance races into the series, where not only could you, and not just like, oh, this race will take you an hour to complete. Like, they put in full 24-hour races.
Oh, my God.
Which is insane. It's like, you can't reasonably expect anybody to complete more than one endurance race. And I say more than one because everyone tried the easiest one that there was, which was just on an oval track. You can just soup up a car to over 1,000 horsepower, tape the button down on the throttle. And since it was an oval, you didn't have to worry about steering. You just tape the button down and leave it alone for 24 hours, and you would win the race because you souped a car to an impossible degree. So everybody did that at least once, and obviously you could not replicate that on other tracks where you would have to turn. And I was like, well, no, I'm never doing that again, even if it was just another oval track. But yeah, like I got all the licenses. I beat as many of the races that I could that were not endurances. And yeah, like probably the most time I ever put into any game, whether like more than any Grand Theft Auto. I don't think I even really played any RPGs on the PS2, to be honest. So Gran Turismo 4 was by far the game I played the most and obsessed over the most.
The first game that really had me wanting a PS2, Metal Gear Solid 2. Which, as much as I, pick on it for doing the bait and switch with Snake for Raiden, playing that game, seeing the graphics, much like I was feeling with PS1, just seeing like how amazing it looked, and like, oh my God, it can't get better than this. But that game was great, and then Metal Gear Solid 3 came up, and Kojima has this amazing ability to find the limits of a system and then take like a couple of steps past that, and it just looks incredible. Like, if you want like a free example, folks, for people with PS4, download PT right now and just look the detail in that one hallway is absolutely crazy.
Yeah, and the great thing too is that not only does Metal Gear Solid 2 still, like, it was not only incredible for its time, like, it still looks pretty good. Like, so many games of the era just do not hold up. Like I mentioned before, Midnight Club, like, as much fun as I had with it, a pretty ugly game to look at now.
Oh, yeah.
Grand Theft Auto, those Grand Theft Auto games, for as much fun as they were, pretty ugly to look at now as well. But Metal Gear Solid 2 and Metal Gear Solid 3, still pretty good to look at.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I just, playing Metal Gear Solid 3 is like a experience everyone should have at least once. Most definitely. It's amazing. Especially that boss fight with the end, for Christ's sakes. Wow.
Oh, yeah, that's incredible. Like, I mean, my experience with Grand Theft Auto was Metal Gear Solid. Fairly interesting one because my friend got his PS2 around the same time that I did, and he's the one who got Metal Gear Solid 2. But I didn't really play it, and I didn't really care about Metal Gear Solid at all until I got Metal Gear Solid 3. Like my brother had asked me, he's like for my birthday, he's like I can get you a game. What games are out right now that you kind of want? I was like, well, there's Need for Speed Underground 2, and also this Metal Gear Solid 3 game that I've been hearing about, which apparently is pretty good. Give me whichever one you want. and my brother, being very anti-import tuners, he decided to get me Metal Gear Solid 3 instead.
God bless him.
Yeah, pretty much. Because as it turns out, Underground 2 was pretty unremarkable, and Metal Gear Solid 3 ended up being one of my very favorite games of all time. And that made me go track down my friend's copy of Metal Gear Solid 2, and I was like, yep, this series is amazing. This is the best thing I've ever experienced. And I was like, and I ended up obsessing over Metal Gear Solid because of the choice that I laid in front of my brother.
This one is a little chestnut for me personally, but I am a huge fan of the Scarface The World Is Yours PS2 game. They came out forever ago. I actually got the collector's edition, which came with the making of documentary and all that too. And it's a fun game. I mean, I won't lie. It's pretty much a Grand Theft Auto ripoff, just to the world of Scarface. And you start right at the end of the first movie, and you can fight your way off. Or if you want to have fun, you could just stand on that balcony shooting people until the guy who's walking behind you kills you.
Yeah, like that game is so interesting, and that, not only does it conclude, is it a sequel to a movie that has a very definitive ending, but is actually, from what I've heard, I've never played it, but I've heard it's actually pretty good.
Yeah, it's actually pretty decent. It was actually a lot of fun. I mean, you can sell coke to people. So, when you go to the banks, you play a mini game to give them a reduced cut, so you make more money laundering your money. The gun mechanics was great. Plus, Montana has a rage meter, which when he activates it, he's invincible. He gains all his health back, and he gets unlimited bullets. Which actually worked really well. And plus, the voice actor they got, and they had this in the documentary, really nails Tony Montana and his voice. And I remember him discussing playing this character. It's like, hey, everything you say has to have power with it. Fuck you! You have to, you hear the power in that. It's like, all right, whatever. You sound like Al Pacino, dude. You're good. Oh God!
But, yeah, and that game was actually developed by Radical Entertainment, which who developed not only Scarface, but they developed the Incredible Hulk game that everybody loved. I don't know if you remember that on PS2.
Oh yeah, I do.
They developed Prototype and Prototype 2.
Oh wow!
In later years, so it's actually, yeah, like that, and that was a legitimately good game by a good studio. It's just funny. The premise in itself is ridiculous. So that, yes, he plays Tony Montana after the events of the Scarface movies. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? He died. Very.
Well, like Kratos, you fight your way out of Hades.
Like, it was made very clear that he died.
Do you have any guilty pleasures from the PS2?
Oh boy, I'm trying to remember. I played a lot of Blitz the League. I remember that. That was a continuation of NFL Blitz after they'd lost the NFL license after EA bought it up for Madden. They still wanted to make Blitz games, bless their hearts, without the appeal of a license. But and their answer to that was turning everything up to a ridiculous degree, where you could take steroids and deliberately hurt opponents. You could see their tendons snap, or you could kick someone in the nuts. You could see their nuts explode. It's like, what the hell is this game? It was turned up to a ridiculous degree that, if they still had that license, would never have been approved. And the game is a little bit embarrassing to look at now. For all that all that stuff in between. But I played a whole heck of a lot of it because I was like, man, I still want to play Blitz. So that's what I lived with, Blitz the League.
Nice. I remember I have a couple of guilty pleasures. One, believe it or not, Gex.
There were PS2 games for that?
I believe there wasn't there?
I don't know. Like, I know there were 3 PS1 games. I don't know if it survived into the PS2 era.
Oh, well.
I'm looking up Gex right now.
Yeah, go ahead and look that up. The other 2 I know were PlayStation games. I know were PlayStation 2 games. One of them was a little game called Gungrave, and Gungrave 2, which inspired a anime series that was better than it had any right to be. But yeah, I mean, I loved the gunplay, the violence, and it was just like a fun little game to play as you like search for revenge on these guys who screwed you over. So yeah, I enjoyed it quite a bit, and I would play those games every chance I got.
Nice. Yeah, I'm just. What would you say is the best PlayStation?
Oh God, the best PlayStation 2 game. Honestly, I'd have to say it was Metal Gear Solid 3, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's either that or Shadow of the Colossus. 2 games that I played with friends together. Like we both took turns playing through Metal Gear Solid 3. Both took turns playing through Shadow of the Colossus, and both of those like experiences were like just fucking incredible. Like I was like, holy shit, I can't believe someone pressed this to a disc and sold it to the public, because I can't believe a human being could even make something this amazing.
But yeah, it was amazing. Both of those are good choices for it, but yeah, I would side with Metal Gear Solid 3, mainly because I never sat down and played it when it came out, but my roommates were like in love with the game, even when they had it too. Alright, so that'll do it for our conversation here on PlayStation 2 memories. Folks, what was your PlayStation 2 memories? What were some of your favorite games, guilty pleasures, or what have you? Write in to FirmwareUpdate at FirmwareUpdatePodcast at gmail.com. I almost said Geek League Radio there. Did you hear that?
Yeah, that was weird.
Oh, yeah.
That was a while ago.
Yeah, a little callback there. Wow. Once again, FirmwareUpdate at gmail.com. And folks, we got a mailbag. Let's go to the mailbag. All right, and we are back on the Firmware Update. Once again, if you want to write into the show for anything, you can send your email to FirmwareUpdatePodcast at gmail.com. And you could be like Sir Real here. Yes, Joe, we have new writers in. How about that? All right, and I'm going to warn you, Joe, he takes you to task on this one.
Good.
All right, normally I wouldn't take the time to consider writing an email to a podcast, but after listening to the beginning of show 1.35, that was last week's show, I had to. I have to say, Malcolm, you do an excellent job in the way you deal with the negative attitude of your co-host, Joe.
I've never been negative a day in my life. I don't know what he's talking about.
That dude needs an attitude adjustment. So you need a fireman's carry, Joe. Hopefully onto the bed. I think he's in need of either a good piece of ass or some paper in his pocket that would help make that adjustment. Maybe the attitude is the reason he has neither. Anyway, that being said, I enjoy the show. Keep up the good work and stay positive, Malcolm. It might rub off on Joe. By the way, Destiny is pretty damn good overall, and Joe has no idea what the game is about if he hasn't played it past level 20. Be easy, fellas.
Wait a minute, so he doesn't even have a specific complaint? I'm just too negative?
Yeah, well, that kind of is a complaint. You can't be a little negative, you know.
Fuck that. How's that? How's that for negative?
That's pretty negative, Joe. I do hope you have sex in the near future like Surreal does, Joe.
Okay, that's weird.
No. Wait, you. I hope everyone has sex, and consensual sex, of course. Folks, if you would like Joe to have sex, write into the show. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you, Surreal. Thanks for writing into the show, and please write in more. Oh, here we go. This is an interesting one. My boss from AT&T writes in. Okay, guys.
First of all, also don't report into work after your vacation.
I'm in need of some professional guidance from two of the most prominent figures in the industry of video game journalism. And yes, Joe, by definition, you are journalists. A person who writes for newspapers or magazines or prepares news to be broadcast on radio or television. It's got you there, Joe.
I don't think that's right.
Mr. Negative. See, again, still Mr. Negative over there. We're not in video game. We need a college degree. Anyway, long time ago, long-time listener, first time writing in. I was checking out the up-and-coming PlayStation games list on PlayStation Blog and thinking about what I might be picking up next. And I saw a title that brought a few questions to mind. The game was Final Fantasy Type 0 HD. The reason that it caught my eye is I have never played a Final Fantasy game, and I have been interested in trying one. Since there are so many out there, I was hoping the two of you could shed some light on the Final Fantasy franchise. What your favorite Final Fantasy is and why, and what suggestions you might have as far as which one to try. I can tell you, I'm not a fan of playing older gen systems, and I was leaning towards playing Final Fantasy X on Vita or waiting for Final Fantasy 15 for PS4, which I thought was the next game to release, but there seems to be another 14 coming out as well as a remastered XX2 for PS4. What the heck? Too many Final Fantasy games. There's about 15 of them, yes.
Well, I mean, 15 plus like 800 different re-releases and spin-offs and sequels. But
oh yeah, in the city, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like Square Enix definitely hasn't made it easy to keep track of them all because, like he says, yeah, Final Fantasy 10 and 10-2 are re-releasing. You know, they already re-released on PS3, but they are coming out on PS4 as well. So that's, you know, Final Fantasy X, I guess. I've never actually played Final Fantasy X, but from what I gather, that's a pretty good one to start with if you want to see what the series is all about.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if you don't like playing older systems.
Just to finish up what he's saying here. Help! Waiting for an upcoming game. Waiting for an upcoming game wouldn't be too terrible anyway due to DMC Definitive Edition, Bloodborne, and Witcher 3 coming out. I'll have plenty of time to play till then. Any insight you guys could be able to share would be greatly appreciated. Keep up the great work on the show. You guys rock. Sign, ... Malcolm's boss. Sent via the Samsung Galaxy S5, an AT&T 4G LTE smartphone.
Yeah.
All right. Well, first thing I should point out here, if you're, and I'm just going to go with your completely new here, boss, is that all the Final Fantasies, it's not one long overarching story.
Yeah, they're all different stories, basically.
Yeah, so if you start at 10, you can go to 7, or you can go to 5 or 1, and you wouldn't be lost.
Yeah, Final Fantasy X was actually the first game in the series to get a direct sequel with 10-2, which is included in that collection anyway. So there you go. You can literally just go into whichever one you think is the most interesting to you.
Yeah, I thought I enjoyed 10 playing it. I aside from Titus being a little too cheerful, let's just say, I enjoyed all the characters in it. The Final Fantasy series has an extremely diverse set of characters that are quite awesome.
Yeah.
And I think Final Fantasy 15, that all being said, you know, if you're trying to do something on the present day consoles, unfortunately neither me or Joe has like too much information on Final Fantasy Type 0. Yeah,
that's coming out pretty soon, and that's actually been out for a pretty long time over in Japan. As you know, not as an HD game, but you know, it's been out on PSP for several years now over in Japan. But not much is known about the game, outside of there. Like, it, for whatever reason, Square Enix, until this HD release, just never got behind the game for whatever reason. So, like, people outside of Japan just don't know much about the game, unfortunately. So a lot of people are on the same boat.
Yeah, so from what I can tell on that game, it's like it was like a third-person action type of game as you play as this academy of cadets who all have unique fighting abilities with a signature weapon. Like the main characters uses these cards that have magical properties. Other characters throw knives, use swords, use giant mace, crossbows, whips, and basically have their own strength and weaknesses, and you use those to take out enemies. That's about it as far as what I know about this game, sadly. If you want to play it, really, 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 really safe, Final Fantasy 15, I think, is going to be great once again. Like, everything I keep saying is good. If you're really super curious, either get Type 0 or, find someone that you know, which you do, and borrow that demo disc. As I'm not saying that Type 0 is going to be bad, but once again, I don't know much about it, so I don't know. I can't safely recommend it.
Yeah.
But the Final Fantasy series, in general, they're RPGs. You level up. It's a party-based system. Most of especially the earlier games, were turn-based. So if you're looking for something like what Dragon Age 3 is, not quite.
Yeah.
But don't get me wrong, there's plenty of room for strategy as each enemies have their own strengths and weaknesses, and you use each character's abilities and skills to break down the enemy and defeat it. And the story, 9 times out of, or should I say 13 times out of 15 are usually very interesting and can be kind of heartbreaking too, as they'll do surprising things such as what they did in Final Fantasy 15 and the ending to 10 in specific. And also Final Fantasy X2 in its entirety, but that's another story, of course.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to experience the best of what Final Fantasy does have to offer, though, I would recommend getting over that qualm you have with hooking up older systems or playing older games, because Final Fantasy 4, Final Fantasy 6, 7, and 9 are widely regarded as the cream of the crop.
Joe.
What?
Could he play those games on Vita?
He could play all of those games on Vita.
There you go, buddy. Because he just
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if the hang up he has is hooking up old systems or playing older games. But if you're fine with playing older games, then yeah, grab them on Vita.
Indeed, because I actually have Final Fantasy VII on my Vita, and I would be shocked if you couldn't do the same thing with the other games. I don't know about 9 was also on PS1, right?
Yeah, 7, 8, and 9 are available as PlayStation 1 classics. Final Fantasy 6 is as well, I think. Strangely.
I think 4 is the complete story. You can get that now.
Yeah, they remade that game for PlayStation, for PSP, and I think it's available as a download on Vita via the Vita store. I would have to double check that, but if not, I think Final Fantasy 4 is available as a standalone thing anyway.
Yeah,
I'd have to double check.
Yeah, if you were a fan of Dragon Age, Final Fantasy 4, I would say, is the one to go with, just to appease where you're going, just appease what you're thinking of, because that's very old school, medieval times style. The main character is a black knight, his friend is a dragoon, which you'll learn to love dragoons. Mages, magicians, summoners, they're all in that game, and it's one of my personal favorites. My favorite is still 7. People are, I think it's universally loved, though people kind of don't want to admit it now for whatever the reason. 6, which I believe was released, that was what was released initially here as Final Fantasy 3, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that one is has quite a few is viewed as the best, but once again, up for opinion. I like 4 better than 6, but
yeah, I'm looking at I've got my Vita in front of me now. Final Fantasy VI is available as a PS1 classic. Mm-hmm. Final Fantasy V is available as a PS1 classic. Final Fantasy IV is that complete collection thing that we were talking about earlier, where they released some like kind of like epilogue stuff on the Wii of all things.
Yeah.
So, and then they eventually kind of ported it over to the PlayStation Portable, and you can get that on Vita as a PSP game for $20, which isn't bad because that's Final Fantasy. For a lot of people, hold that up as the very best in the game or in the series.
On top of that, you also get another game, the sequel. So you're getting 2 games for the price of 1. So
yeah, you get a bunch of there's something called the After Years that they included there, as well as an interlude. So you get the core game, the core Final Fantasy IV game, plus a bunch of epilogue stuff. That's probably the way I would recommend going. It's Final Fantasy IV.
And I would say that after 10, 11 was an MMO as well. Stay away from that. I actually like 12. A lot of people are very mixed on it, so enter that with your own risk. But 13 was garbage.
It really wasn't.
It really was, dude. You can have your opinion. How about that? But anyway.
Who's being negative now? How am I the one who gets negative email?
Well, I'm being objective. You're just defending it just so you could be contrarian to me. That's
It really is not.
Tell me what's good about it.
It's a really pretty game. The gameplay is perfectly fine. Like, I think the combat is deeper than people give it credit for. It's not just smashing X. Like, the paradigm shift system is actually a lot of fun. It's actually, like, there is thought that goes into that.
There's always thought that goes into that. Yeah, and I was saying that it was pretty about Order 1886, too, and you said it's not even worth a rental.
Yeah, it's not. There's much more to Final Fantasy 13 than there is to the Order.
But anyway, I would say the first 10 games are are higher on the scale.
All right, I feel like we're all over the place. Let's nail down a couple of things that we think for sure. I'd say Final Fantasy 4.
All right, Final Fantasy 4 for sure. I would say 7.
I can go with 7 too.
Yeah. 6 or
I say let's pick one from each generation of systems. All right, like for the 16-bit stuff, I say Final Fantasy 4. For the PS1 era stuff, I say 7.
Agreed.
For the PS2 era stuff, Final Fantasy 10.
There you go. And you'll enjoy it. There was a time in my very young life where, as soon as they announced the next Final Fantasy, all they did was just count down the days. I was so excited. So they're good stories. Give it a try out. If we hear more about Final Fantasy Type 0, we'll definitely let you know. But all I know so far is that there are kids that are dressed the same and they use different weapons.
Yeah, it's a very interesting release for sure because, it has been out in Japan for so many years now, and we're just barely getting it, and it was supposed to be part of, like, the Final Fantasy 13 saga, I guess. It was part of the Nova Crystallis or whatever.
Yeah, it was,
Babylon Nova Crystallis.
Yeah, it was like Versus 13 was the original name of the Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah, it was supposed to be that. It was supposed to be Final Fantasy 13 proper, and then Type 0, which was supposed to be out on PSP.
And the funny part is, like, at the end of the trailer when it's called Final Fantasy Versus 13, you hear some guy mumbling something in Japanese, and it changes to 15. And I assume he's saying, fuck that, and just changes it to 15. It's like, might as well. It's been forever.
Yeah, it's very easy to be overwhelmed by the Final Fantasy series because, there's 14 core games, and some of them have sequels. And then there are other games that aren't numbered but are very important as well. It's like Final Fantasy Tactics and Crystal Chronicles and this and Dissidia, and like there's so many games, so it's very easy to be overwhelmed. So I'm always happy to give advice for people on this regard.
Oh yeah, and the important thing is once again, you're not missing anything. There's each one, and what I still think is a brilliant move. Each game is self-contained. Like if you like I said, if you go 6 7, 4, you're not going to miss anything. So, or any order you want. So, but yeah, once again, 4, 6, 7. Those are our recommendations there. And play it on the Vita. Play it at work on your breaks, boss. All 30 minutes of it. And
one of the things too that I forgot to mention when we're talking about GDC stuff is that during the awards they gave a Lifetime Achievement Award to Hironobu Sakaguchi, the creator of Final Fantasy. He was able to get a much-deserved Lifetime Achievement Award. And people have asked him which game in the series he's most proud of creating, and his answer is always the same. It's always the original game, because it truly was created as a Final Fantasy. Square was a company literally on the brink of it was Final Fantasy was a make or break game, so that's why they called it Final Fantasy, because this might very well be it. So they called it that, and the rest is pretty much history.
All right. Thanks, boss, for writing in. Hope you decide to do so again. And once again, folks, if you want to do that, be like Surreal. Call Joe negative. You can. You can call me negative, too. I don't like 13. Call me out. Come on. You can write into FirmwareUpdatePodcast at gmail.com. Once again, FirmwareUpdatePodcast at gmail.com. Hey, what should I play on my vacation? What are some of your PS2 memories? Let us know. Or if you're watching the YouTube video, just leave a comment below. We'll read that too. Folks, that does it for this week's episode of the Firmware Update, episode 136. Ugh. Folks, thank you so much for joining us. If you like what you heard, you can follow us on your Apple devices. Just go to iTunes.com and hit that subscribe button. 5-star reviews with written stuff really help us out, so give us a shout out if you can. You can also find us, if you're an Android user, on such apps as Stitcher Radio, where you can stream us whenever you like. If you want, you can also find us on SoundCloud now, which you can get on your device, and you can download as well as stream us. Or, if you'd like, our app of preference is a fun little app called Pocket Cast, which works really super well and very easy to organize all your stuff. And for all you Windows users, great news. I finally figured out how to get the blasted site, blasted podcast on your phones. As after this podcast, I'm going to give Joe our URL from iTunes. So just copy that and go to your podcast section of your phone and just paste that URL into your phone. And then search for it, and there you go. You can add us. We'll be saved to your podcast list, and you can get every episode as they come. You're welcome.
So glad Microsoft made it so easy.
I know, right?
On their super easy and not at all convoluted and terrible telephone.
Mm-hmm. Shots fired. You can also find us on Twitter, at PSMalk for me, at Once23 for Joe, and at the Firm Up for the show itself. And Joe, guys, you can also find us on our WordPress site, where you can find every episode, articles that we may or may not write on there. And Joe, what is that address for it?
TheFirmUp.wordpress.com.
TheFirmUp.wordpress.com. And is there anything else I'm forgetting, Joe?
I am very hungry.
Yeah, me too. It's been a long day. We've been talking for like 7 hours. Folks, we will see you again next week.